Alright guys, what's up? This podcast is sponsored by Yak Attack. It's yakattack.us. And what Yak Attack is the leader in the kayak fishing industry, specializing in kayak rigging fishing solutions. As kayak anglers themselves, they are tightly integrated into the kayak fishing community and are acutely aware of what the sport needs. It all starts with the gear track and or the mighty mount. And that's just that one little piece that goes onto your boat, and everything goes onto that. The gear track comes in different sizes and colors, and the screwball that attaches to that fits everything to the screwball, and then you have all kinds of accessories you can attach to that, all made in the USA, all made by Yak Attack. The variety of rod holders, camera mounts for still cameras and GoPros, light poles with the day flags that fold into the flag as a carrying bag, fish finders and fish finder mounts for the batteries and the transducers, the black pack crate system and the white version of that for when you're in the south in the deep sun. And this month we are talking about the panfish portrait and the dog bone combo. The panfish portrait is the small version of the small camera mount, the one that screws right in, and the dog bone is the extended piece of that. So with the panfish portrait and the dog bone combination, you can get basically what I would consider as good as a self-portrait as you can get with somebody taking a picture of you, because it's not sitting right on your deck, but it's actually up a little bit. So if you when you get it adjusted and you set it just right, it is basically just as somebody was be able to take your picture as close as you want, as far as you want, as far back as you want. These you can use together with the 19-inch tall camera mount and separate as two camera pieces. The pivoting head was an adjustable friction disc in the panfish portrait, gives the horizontal panning as the dog bone fully articulates for maximum flexibility to help you get that perfect shot over the shoulder, in front of you, or even angled under the water, like the Rob Troy shot. And all this stuff is at Yak Attack, yakattack.us. Alright, come on in guys. This is where the music would be playing if we had a theme song.
Hold on. The first thing we gotta do. Just let me push this real quick.
Yeah.
Alright, I got it. It's on.
That's all.
That was pretty helpful.
And if you're watching live, that camera is probably going to be falling to the floor here soon. My little cheap mount is for some reason not sticking. But or if you're watching this on YouTube, you're fine. That camera is actually good. But this is podcast number 29. It's August 31st, 2014, and we've got Drew Camp. And we've been talking about you off and on this podcast for a while, and I know you're watching too because you like it on Facebook. And his website is Fishtails by Drew at fishtailsbydrew dot, or is it at? Dot fishtailsbydrew.blogspot.com. And that's your dad. It's Chip Camp.
Hey.
Yep, and Lee. Now, we met back when you were fishing with
Stan
Gold
Gold and
yeah.
Rick.
Yeah, yeah. That's how I met you guys. And you were, I mean,
Yeah,
you were like,
small.
it seems like you were this tall. I mean, like this big. It seemed like you were just a little teeny, like little kid.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I've known you for a long time. I've known both of you guys for a long time, and I'm actually really stoked to get you on here. And first, Lee's got some. Well, my fishing stories aren't as going to be as funny as his, but I've already heard these. It's the saga of Lee's fishing trips lately is just continuing on.
It's
But
amazing.
yeah,
it's incredible. This one gets this one tops it. I mean, you can't get any closer, I don't think.
I just went to HRBT, and last week I whacked croakers, and it was awesome. This time it was slow. I mean, really small croaker, but a couple great trout. Or actually one great trout. And,
Keeper size?
Yeah, it was a 14-incher. No, I don't like those. I don't like them meat at all.
Evicted. Dude, they're almost extinct. You gotta kill them. Do your part.
You can only keep one of those anyway.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, that was my trip. It was blowing all last week, so I didn't even get to go out to the bridge. So yeah.
Yeah, and it blew every time in the evening when we tried to get to go in the kayaks.
Yeah.
It blew like crazy.
Yeah. So you guys were on the boat this week again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not Jay's boat this time. The story
Right.
comes off. We brought the bad luck to somebody else. We didn't think we could do it. We did it. We took it right to Rick's boat. So we go out of Rudy, and we checked the first couple yellow buoys out there, nothing on them. And our plan was to troll around for kings anyway. There's been some kings caught, some interesting things caught close to the beach, some mahi and
Like real close to the beach.
3 miles. Yeah, some real interesting things caught close to the beach. The Alberts are everywhere right now.
And now, are they they catching those just casting on breaking or?
No, they're not catching them.
Okay. I know. What are they seeing breaking?
Things, we caught one the other day, and it took like a million casts, and finally the smallest thing in the world we could think to tie on, we caught one. Put it in the fish box because I got a friend, we were going to Chicks afterwards to get wings from my sister. One of the guys there shark fishes off the beach behind there at work.
Yeah.
I mean, that's perfect bait. I mean, it was like a 4-pounder, you know what I mean? I'm like, man, I'm keep this thing. It's going to bleed out anyway. If you hook them in the mouth, they bleed like crazy. So, anyway, that thing fought like crazy.
Huh.
Finally, I mean, it was the trout rod, and it was a jig, probably like just a spoon like this big, and probably weighed half an ounce. You just sling it as far as you can because there were just like acres of them on top. But if you got near them, they just disappeared. And we saw them for a long time. We trolled around them and trolled around. We were trying to catch
just trolling around this action that was happening.
The area. Yeah. It was the only action in the water we ever found. So anyway, and eventually, so we started casting after them after we didn't troll up anything. And that got extremely frustrating until we finally hooked one. I caught it, and they disappeared. They're gone. They're no more. We didn't even put the trolling stuff back out. We just started driving around looking for them. We've been finding them under these birds. Everything is gone. One fish.
And so everything just disappears. Like the whole action that was happening for how long?
I mean, we probably chased them for 45 minutes before we got a bite.
And then got one and...
Yeah, and that's it. They were gone.
Spooked everybody.
They're gone. Everything. And they were separate schools all over the place. It was crazy. Wow. Crazy. So, anyway, in the fish box, this thing literally spit up. I don't know what they were. They were baby something, but they were this big.
And that's what you...
Oh, and they were all over whatever. I mean, whatever they were, it wasn't even an inch long.
Yeah. And that's what you threw something that small out?
No, I mean, what I threw was probably 3 times that size. And it still finally caught one.
Yeah.
But I mean, a standard jerk jigger, that was not getting hit.
Yeah.
Sting silvers, jerk jiggers, slippery dicks, we tried that. And then we talked to Top Notch, the charter boat, I guess, I can't remember his name. But he called us on the radio when we were trying to catch the Alberts, and he said he finally caught one after, hours of trying them.
Albert?
Yeah. And, so we talked to him, and then we went around. We put the baits back out.
These are tuna. These are tuna type.
Yeah, the false albacore.
False albacore. Yeah.
So we put the plugs back out, and we start trolling around like crazy. We were trolling 3 plugs and 2 ballyhoo. Just there's been interesting things caught. Yeah, and so kings and cobias will eat the ballyhoo right off the top. They don't care.
Possible dolphin.
Yeah.
Sailfish or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, whatever else is gonna swim in here, huh?
Big jack around.
Yeah, jack anything. Yeah. So we troll around and nothing. Top Notch called us again like an hour later, and he's like, man, on the way out I stopped at the Sandbridge buoy. There was a 50-pounder swimming around, and I couldn't get it to eat anything. I'm not stopping on the way back in. I got the people all excited, and nothing happened.
See it.
He's like, so I'm not even messing with that. I'm going straight in. So we're already trolling that direction. So we troll right up by the buoy, and Jay looks up there, and he's like, yeah, he's there. Perfect. We drive past the buoy, reel all the baits in. We drive back up on the buoy, and the fish isn't. We don't see it, but the fish has been there for at this point 2 hours. The fish is still there. You know what I mean? So one cast, I threw the bucktail because we didn't have any bait. We didn't have any buoy checking bait at all. I threw the bucktail up there one time. I jerked it twice, and it just slammed. I set the hook and was like, "Oh boy, this is a big." It was big. It came right up to the top. They always come right up to the top and let you see them.
Yeah.
Right up to the top, and we pulled it away from the buoy perfectly fine. I mean, it's probably 50, 55 pounds.
Yeah.
Probably close to a weight citation fish.
Yeah.
We get this thing, and we get it away from the buoy probably 50 yards before it ever decides to even just realize it's hooked.
Yeah, kind of like the one in the video game.
Yeah, we just pulled, except this one fought.
Right.
You know what I mean? It swam to the bottom and everything. Yeah, but we got it away from the buoy, and then it realized it was hooked.
Yeah.
Fought it, if I don't fight them very long. It was probably 2 minutes. I get this thing up to the boat, and 2.5 minutes. I get this thing up to the boat, and I'm like, "Here it comes, Jay," and he puts the gaff right behind this thing's head, right underneath the throat. I mean, I don't know what happened. All of a sudden, the fish twists.
So you lift. Wait, you lifting it?
He's lifting it out, and I guess he thinks the butt of hit the T-top or something. Bad angle, I guess. I don't know.
Oh, so it stopped.
Yeah.
So the fish
So
didn't.
now
twist.
at this point, he's like, the fish starts spinning.
Okay, so he's wait. Oh, okay. So yeah, I didn't understand this when you told me the first time.
Yeah.
So when he gaffed it, he had momentum, and then it boom, something happened. Either the gaff maybe hit the side of the boat, or
Something happened, yeah.
Yeah, hit the top. Something stopped that momentum, and that fish started going.
Yeah. And it twisted about 3 times and just, I mean, it sprayed blood all down us. Not the inside of the boat this time, but it was spraying blood. I mean, it was bloody, and then it was gone, just into the depths.
And he said that he came back with the gaff and the bucktail wrapped
So
around
like
the gaff.
tied onto the gaff.
So yeah, so like the fish, like you had a gaff and like wrapped.
I mean, it happens.
Yeah.
It happens all the time, but why? Why this time? I mean, literally, like, this is the craziest thing in the world that we brought our luck to Rick's boat. The one we gaffed and came off the gaff in Rick's boat, bled out in the water, and we cleaned it, and it was like the easiest fish I've ever cleaned in my life.
Yeah, we landed that one. That one stayed.
Yeah.
It stayed. It didn't twist. That you do it. I mean,
No,
it wanted
thrashed.
to. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it thrashed. That one. This one twisted, which wrapped your line around.
And it wasn't quite that big. It wasn't almost 70 pounds.
Yeah.
That one was.
67.
The one we caught on Rick's boat was significantly bigger than this one.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
And as soon as I get, it didn't have anything with it on the buoy. It didn't look like, but as soon as it came up next to the boat, there was another one with it. They just come out of nowhere, or it could have come off the chain.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The water was crystal clear. They can see it 50 yards away, and or feel it. You know what I mean? They know what's going on in the water. So
yeah. So at this point, the fish is in the water, and you guys have in previous fuck ups like that. You guys have been like really like at each other, right? Yelling at each other.
no, we don't yell at each other.
Not yelling at each other. No,
No, not at all.
No, just mad. Just
Mad. Yeah, we don't yell at
Just
each
mad.
other.
Not
It's
each
not,
other,
it's
just
not
mad.
anybody. It wasn't anybody's fault. Shit, that happens.
Yeah, and this one was like. See, at this point, it's becoming like
It's almost comical for a minute. I try to laugh, and then it just hits, and you're just like, I cannot believe that happened again. I can't. It just doesn't make any sense at all. I've never been this bad at anything.
Yeah. And
Anything I
times.
try.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
And it's like that.
And it's so funny. We drive around all day on Jay's boat and see nothing, and all it takes is one trip on Rick's boat, and we got a 50-pounder like next to the boat ready. So sorry about that boat. I sell it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So then Jay and I tried to go out the next day, and it was rough in the morning. It ended up being a great afternoon.
What day was that? Was that a
The next day was Thursday.
Thursday?
Thursday.
Yeah.
It was the
Yeah,
swell
that's right.
was there from the
That's right.
the hurricane, and the wind was blowing opposite of it coming out of the bay.
Yeah.
And the change of the tide was right. It wasn't supposed to be this bad right early in the morning. And the change of the tide was at like 9 o'clock. We're like, man, we'll go catch one around the bridge, and then we can just go home if it's bad.
Right.
If
Right.
it gets bad.
Right.
Well, it got bad before it was supposed to, and we had to just leave the bridge.
Yeah.
We tried to go out into open water, and at one point we probably had it at about a 45 with us both up in the tower, 45-degree angle. I snatched the boat, snatched the wheel around, hit the throttle, turned back around and faced the sea, and we got down out of the tower and just went home. It was just, if we saw a fish, we weren't going to be able to. We were going to get really, really mad because we weren't going to be able to turn the boat after it.
We were turning on it right.
Oh yeah, we would have seen surfing down sea. I mean, as fast as this thing would have been moving down sea, it would have been impossible anyway. It was. We would have seen a fish a mile away.
Yeah.
But there's no way we could have got to it. You
Yeah.
couldn't turn the boat anywhere. Quarter of the sea, that was it. You couldn't surf with it. Going against it, it was so close together. I mean, it was just. It was terrible.
Yeah.
So we went in and got some stuff done on the boat, and then it got nice in the afternoon. But at that point, we were just over it.
I think he got nice for a little bit. Yeah. Yeah. That was Thursday. Yeah. That's the day I went out. That's when
Yeah.
I went out Thursday night. That's right. Yep. Yep. It's an interesting spot over there. I'm learning that spot a little more. You guys probably fish that side, the Hampton side.
Yeah.
It's interesting. It's not like the tube, it's like the tube on the other side, but it's got this weird rock jetty that comes off that southwest corner. I mean, it's shallow.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's like a drop.
We've seen boats hit it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No, dude,
We saw a lower unit get left behind.
Yeah, I mean, you could run up on
yeah.
it easily. But what was cool was when I was coming back in, a ship had come by in the ship wake, it's a really good surfing spot because
Yeah,
it's a
built
real
up.
good. It's like a jetty, and it breaks right here, but then it smooths out. It doesn't. The break loses as it come off because it's really deep after it. So you just got to peel out before.
That's a good spot. Actually.
Yeah.
That's a real good spot.
Well, that's what I figured. I cast around on rocks too, but because everything's sand around there, and that actually has rocks because it washes off of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jay would like basically interview when.
Yeah.
Well,
We got a much more interesting question though.
What's that?
It's a question for you, and it says if you had to choose between having me on your show for every podcast or having an official Wolfpack member sticker to put on the desk, where would you put the Wolfpack sticker at? He's got a picture.
Wolfpack sticker.
We roll, fish die.
That shit.
Yeah. Where would you put the sticker? Not if you had to choose, where would you put the sticker?
Well, before we get into, well, actually, Jay did have some good questions.
Yeah.
Kind of basically the same thing we're getting into.
We can talk about like what you guys did. If you said you went fishing today.
Yeah.
We've been fishing the last 2 days. We went saltwater on Saturday and got out real early out in Pocosin and caught some trout. We got trout early and they were hitting topwater. I found a little school that was busting bait. I caught 6, all between 16 and 20 inches.
Trout?
Yeah, all trout.
Fun.
That shit's starting to move already. I mean, it
Yeah.
sounds like they're starting to, because
Yeah, they're picking
they're
up.
coming down, they're picking up where,
Yeah.
at the Pocosin area,
Mhm.
Yeah.
the Hampton,
Pocosin.
because they're always up north, but now they're
Yeah,
really starting
they're
to.
starting to pick up. And looked for redfish, couldn't find anything.
Not ready for fall yet. I'm just I'm having problems.
Do you ever, do you guys ever, when you paddle out of, with the boat ramp over there is Wallace's.
Yeah.
We paddled out of there to cobia fish before. And I mean, we came, just coming around the corner, it's like all the grass in the world just below the surface.
Yeah.
Okay.
There are no fish there.
I'm like,
There are no fish.
But that's
Oh,
like,
I mean, it's hard fishing though because it's all subsurface
Yeah,
or
it's-
top water.
that's
and if
top
your
water.
bait drops down into that.
that's right. Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
that's what I was trying to. When I go fishing on the Eastern Shore, up on the Eastern Shore, it's just like it's the same thing. It's
Yeah.
the grass flats. That video, 4 Days on the Bay, was all the weedless stuff.
Yeah, because it's crazy. I mean, it's crazy. The grass isn't touching the top. I mean, in 99% of the places, the grass isn't even touching the top.
No.
It's all
No, it's
like
all-
it's
Yeah.
really cool.
No,
looking.
it's in
all top
fact,
water.
I was mainly a jig fisherman, and it took me like a year to figure out what to do there.
Yeah.
Now you can some of the I love those like keel weights because you can rig
Swim
those
bait hooks.
swim bait
Yeah.
hooks weedless, and
Yeah.
then you can work some of the same stuff I used to work on the jigs. But yeah, you'll grass up, and I think that's what frustrates a lot of people because they get in there, they grass up. And they,
Well, because like me and
It's
them are
sweet.
used to jigs fishing.
Yeah.
Here we
Yeah.
have
That's
sand.
what we used to.
Sand.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
all sand on the south side, but you just like go from there up.
Yeah.
It's grass. So yeah.
And it's weird because top water, normally like with bass and stuff, it's either early in the morning, late in the afternoon, low sun. You can catch a citation trout in the middle of the day, high sun, top water, and 4 foot of water.
Right.
And
Yeah.
it's just weird. You
Because
can
they're sitting in that grass.
Yeah, they're just
It's-
waiting for something to go over them.
If you ever see like you guys have, but if anybody's ever seen a trout, you're not going to see him in that grass. You're going to
No.
see him when he moves.
Yeah.
But when you see that, then you go,
Even along the rocks.
that is their
Yeah.
territory. This
They're
is
just
where
chilling.
they
Right,
will-
even along the rock jetties, when we see them, like especially paddling around Rudy, if people that like, a lot of people just go around Rudy and blind cast at those rocks. If you rig yourself up to be able to go underneath of those docks and stare at the shoreline as you go around, you'll see some of the biggest trout and some of the nicest redfish you will. I mean, and it's all sight fishing. The trout are super skittish,
Sure.
but the
Yeah.
redfish will bite.
But
know,
those spots.
It was kind of that. You
but the
see where
spots-
they're hanging out.
But there's those spots on them that you think it's all pretty when you get out of the water, but you put that in
Oh, it's perfect.
eelgrass,
Yeah.
it's matched.
Yeah,
Because
they're gone.
in his world, he's in 2-3 foot of water, and there's ospreys all overhead.
Yeah.
So he has to be able to hide.
That's right.
It's not
That's
just
right.
the fish.
He's
gotta
real
worry
soft.
Yeah.
Real soft.
Yeah, real soft.
And
Easy to
what's
grab,
funny
really.
He's
is
the hot dog of the fish world. Gone.
Well, you see them when ospreys have tried to grab 'em. I mean,
Oh,
you
yeah.
see their scratches on their back.
Yeah.
It's not coming from the bottom like a bite. It's a miss.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we've seen a couple where you actually the few times you do see them, and then you just sort of panic, because you're standing there.
You're looking at
I
a
know as
giant
soon as I
trout.
reach for the rod, it's going to just
Yeah.
disappear.
Yep.
Because they're really, I mean, you can see the reds, but when you see a trout, it's totally cool just to see them sitting there.
Because
And
it's really hard
I mean, the
to-
reds are like bulldozers. You've seen, they're just running through.
And usually
whatever.
moving too.
Yeah,
Those
yeah,
sit.
they're moving.
they're
Yeah,
just in there
sitting there waiting for something to go over.
Yeah, just sit. And that's the weirdest thing. Is why only time I've ever
Right.
seen them in the grass is when they moved. when I spooked them.
You see them like up against the rocks, like right next to a shadow. It's crazy.
Now you need to come out there and fish that style. You need to camp. You don't have a camp with me. I'm trying to get I've known this dude since 2006, and he's never camped with me.
I sleep here.
But you camped
at home,
once.
man.
I think you camped once, and it was such an ordeal for you. You're like done. He had this like 8-man tent he brought out there.
It wasn't even an 8-man tent. It was like a 3-person tent. It's what I had at this house.
It was a fucking
I've done
house.
it another time too. I set up the. Another time. Where did we set up the second time?
I just remember that one time when we were set up in the dark, and I was already set up, and you were like, clang, 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 just putting stuff together, clang, clang. I was like, damn.
They stayed on Fisherman's Island again, or Smith Island again, when we weren't supposed to.
I just said that on the podcast.
That was a long time ago. There was a free island this year.
Yeah, and that won't be next year.
I know, that was awesome though.
Yeah, that was, except for that sand was the worst. I had nightmares with that sand. Blowing it. I mean, it was like this, where I was camping this year had that marsh muddy sand, super
Sort of
thin,
super shiny.
It's and dark, so it's kind of really kind of muddy.
Yeah.
It's almost 60, and I had you see I posted up somewhere it was blowing through my tent.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had that multiple nights. Like it was everywhere for like, the whole season. Also.
No bugs.
No bugs.
No nothing really.
Yeah.
Out there.
Mm-mm.
You said a fox one night?
No. That was an island.
Yeah.
Yeah, on there. It'll be joined up this year, and they'll take it back. Yeah. so you guys see my thing? What I like to use for the trout stuff is the weedless and like the swimming baits, the saltwater assassin style.
Yeah.
I just like that style. Do you do the treble hooks and all that
I've
good stuff?
pretty much been this year more
Mirror
than
lures?
last year. It's been all top water.
Mirror lures?
Every trout I've caught has been on a skitter walker. A few on like subsurface mirror lures, the mirrodines, but pretty much every trout I've caught has been top water, right over grass. Normally on like the high tides, when they're way up in there.
Yeah.
But before that, I was fishing a lot of like what you're saying, weedless soft plastics, and just twitching them through the grass, almost like you would for bass.
Mm-hmm.
But I've really switched to hard plastics.
Trick worm.
Yeah, the treble hooks. That's what keeps me away from that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I caught
The
them
weight
real
baits.
good on those last year, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, the wake baits are pretty good too, especially where you're talking about that grass. It's like a foot under the surface because they're going down about 7-8 inches. And,
Still treble hook?
Yeah, they're still treble hooks.
Yeah.
And every once in a while, you'll come back with a little bit of grass. They'll pick up
But
some.
you can feel it. You can feel it as soon as you hook the grass.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's although it's let me down the last 2 weeks, so it's no longer my confidence.
No,
building.
it's
Yeah,
not.
that-
For a while there, it was kicking.
And then like high pressure areas like Wallace's and places where people fish a lot, throwing bass lures. I've been throwing jerk baits like you would in the wintertime and fishing it like you would for bass. You get it stuck in that grass, and when you rip it out of the grass, those trout think it's a reaction. They'll come up and eat it. And then lipless crankbaits, so like rattle traps, things like that. Those things.
A lot of treble hooks on those.
Yeah, but just burning those over grass. I've killed the redfish in North
But you
Carolina.
gotta, but those sink so quick.
Yeah, you keep your rod tip up and you reel really fast, and if it gets stuck in grass, if you just rip it as hard as you can, it shoots out of the grass, just reel it again. I caught a few trout, good ones on that this year, when I'm not using top water. Yeah, and nobody throws them. I mean, you wouldn't think.
Oh, man.
No, when I watch them, I'm like, you're reeling way too fast. I mean, I'm looking at this thing, he's just cranking. I'm like, who's going to catch that thing? But
I mean, and like down in North Carolina, we were using a lot of chunk bait and things because there was a big school we had, and they would just roll through an area and they come back around. But to find them, if you threw a lipless crankbait and just burned it over like oysters and stuff, they would chase it down and eat it. And gizzard shad colors, they sort of look like a mullet, shad colors, and but nobody else throws them, so it's just something they haven't seen.
Well,
before.
because you have to do it a very certain technique, or it's not gonna work.
Yeah, and nobody thinks.
You have to do it fast. You have to keep it up because
Yeah.
it's gonna sink fast. You have to rip it when you feel it.
Yeah,
And
people are lazy like Kevin.
most people.
We don't want to do all that.
I don't want to mess with trouble. And I get irritated with the grass too. Like I really get weedy.
Oh yeah,
because
and think you see all those treble hooks, it sinks. You're gonna think, oh, that's not gonna work in grass. But if you rip it out of that, there might be a few pieces, but they don't care. You
Yeah.
know, they're going to still eat it.
Well, I love that, like that ripping it out thing, because when I was, when I was up on the bay doing that stuff, I would stand up and I was watching. You had the chartreuse tail, so I could really see natural colors, but chartreuse tail, so I could see it. And I roll over grass and let it drop down. Bring it back up and let it drop down.
Yeah,
it's
that's the same thing, and you could yo-yo it back almost. You throw it out there, let it sink into the grass, rip it out, sink back into the
and the current
yeah,
edge right
just,
down.
Yeah, and it just work it back, and then even around, I've been trying it around like jetties, rocks, things like that, and you get stuck more on the barnacles and things. But even then, you're banging it off those rocks. It's making a lot of noise. So it's just been a bait that I found over the last year, and it's been working.
Mm-hmm. I learn something every time on this podcast. I love this.
So yeah, it
I
works. I saw it on
Get little tips like that.
Yeah, I mean, and I watched it. It was like they were fishing in Texas for trout, and they were using these lipless crankbaits. It was a bass guy who had never fished like saltwater. They just threw him in there,
Yeah.
and he was just using all of his bass techniques. Like, well, we got grass, so we just do the same thing for bass.
Predators. Predator's a
Right.
predator.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's an aqua predator.
Sweet. So
Right.
I'm like, well, I'm gonna try that this year, and it's been working. So.
Moving water is just like bass in a river.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what you've been. That's kind of been and with trout season coming up too. So
Yeah.
you got some new techniques to try
Yeah,
out.
definitely. And then the jerk baits, it's the same thing. You know.
That's
it's
what Leo actually
yeah.
uses a lot too.
Yeah, just rip them out of the grass. It's same thing. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, I caught the trout good last year. I finally started to use mirror lures, and I caught them real good.
That's
But I only trout fished for 2 weeks, so
Yep.
I have a 2-week trout season. Last year they happened to be giant ones.
Mhm.
I was lucky.
And with a couple years before that, we had some good ones. They come in. They come through.
Yeah.
They come through
All
our
through.
neighborhood here.
Yeah, we're not big. We're not big hot ditch guys.
Nah.
We're trout fishing out where the trout.
Out Friday, it's a road trip.
I hate the hot ditch.
Yeah,
It's
I
a
don't
road
go
trip.
out. I don't go out there.
It's a road
Yeah,
trip,
it's
and
expensive,
it's
you know, you gotta-
no scenery. I mean, it's just.
And it's
There's
a
some
lottery.
unique scenery.
Yeah.
it's just, not what we're looking for.
And it's like a
necessarily.
lottery, you know. You go into the cove, you set out your live bait, you wait for a citation trout to eat it.
Yeah.
There's no real sport in it. you
Yeah,
know.
that's what I did when I was first.
I mean,
doing
I've
my
caught
target.
trout. I mean, I've caught big trout though. I mean, when I went in there with Blake's boat, we fished with trout. Mullet. Though.
Yeah,
Oh,
well,
yeah,
you fish
I
with
mean-
Blake too. Yeah,
Yeah,
you
We fished
you're
with
the
mullet that
guide.
were this
You're-
big, like bridled, like we were black marlin fishing.
Yeah.
It
It was actually interesting the way he did, because I used to watch him. I mean, it would basically like he wouldn't just set out and let it sit. I mean, I've seen him like
You
go into
work it,
corners
yeah.
and have a mullet, because that thing is running. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So he's like, the bobber wasn't to. For the hold the fish up, it was just to guide it.
Yeah, just to
It just
show
show you
it.
where it was, and he just like would
Indicator.
hold it and let it go down, and then hold it, and it was. I watched him in a corner one time in a tree.
Yeah.
In that
Yeah.
tree that was down in the corner, watch
Yeah.
him like work a bait through that, a live bait. I was like, damn.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you catch them on like mirror lures in there, it's somewhat sporting, but it's just it's a lottery when you go into that cove. You
Yeah.
go in there for the first time you ever go in there, you'll go in there, throw your minnow out, and bam, you got a 28-inch trout, and then you'll go back there for 3 years and not get anything.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, we messed them up that day with Blake. I mean, like I said, and the cool thing is, a lot of time when you fish with those giant mullet, they chase them right up to the top and eat them right off the top.
That's cool.
They chase them right. I mean, you'll be looking at your bobber, and then all of a sudden the bobber just kind of goes a little limp, and then there's just whoosh. Oh wow!
Yeah.
Yeah, they come up from underneath them and chase them right up to the top.
Yeah.
hmm
Yep.
And then we were in the freshwater this morning.
Yeah,
for
we
a while.
went bass fishing this morning.
Yeah, and you came into the shop and you were on Saturday. You guys were yesterday.
Yeah, we went bassing, and it was slow, really slow. It grind them out. I was hoping I could get a shallow grass bite, frogs punching through the grass, but I ended up having to fish that 8 to 12 foot of water zone off docks, and like deep brush. I using a drop shot with like a really small minnow.
Well, here's what's cool about the freshwater stuff, because you learned that just recently. You guys are saltwater guys.
Mhm.
You guys originally saltwater.
I'm still
Yeah.
a salt.
Yeah, absolutely, but you've really taken off recently, in the last at least year, right?
Yeah, about a
freshwater.
year. It started 2 years ago. I saw like Forrest and Richie Beckley and Rob Troy. They were catching giant pickerel, giant bass in the wintertime.
Mhm.
And I'd never done that before. So I went with Rob and Richie one day, and Richie caught 5 bass that were all 20, 21 inchers, and we didn't catch anything. And that's when I said, I'm going to start bass fishing because that just looked cool. And so then I started researching all kinds of stuff, and eventually I started bass fishing.
Well, that's the thing is like, what was you last winter? I think you learned how to do drop shot or something.
Yeah,
like that.
I looked up a lot of stuff I didn't.
Because it
know
was
how
like
to
during the
do.
winter, like it was kind of the off season. But
Yeah, it was jig. I learned how to fish jigs, flip, heavy cover.
Because
and
you learned
drop shot.
before you even went out, you did all your research. You know,
Yeah.
and again, like we were talking about last week with Jack doing his research down there. You did your research before you even went on the water. I mean, not just like, okay, this is the idea. You're like really the idea,
Yeah,
the
and I
techniques,
wanted
the
to know how
theories
to do
that
it
really
because-
got into it.
And I had gone out and failed miserably a couple times, and then eventually I got the hang. I knew what a jig bite felt like. I knew where to start drop shot, and so now I've figured it out, and I'm starting to dial.
And that's the thing is, it takes a little. Yeah,
Oh,
it
yeah.
takes that time.
Yeah.
No matter what you read, no matter how much you could get prepared,
Mhm.
you know, from reading, you can't experience what it feels like.
No.
That like somebody who's casting their casting something and feel one piece of grass on there. Someone who
Yeah.
hasn't felt something weird before,
Mhm.
or not even just one time, enough times.
Yeah.
One time you ain't gonna feel it, and now you'll know it. It takes a dozen times. You're going, what's that grass?
Yeah.
Now, oh, that's the grass. Grass. You know, now you feel
Yeah,
it. You know,
and
and,
you know,
and that's the thing.
yeah,
It's not.
it's grass.
I can tell. We can tell that to somebody. They ain't gonna
Yeah,
experience
they
it
won't know
until
what
they
it
get out
is.
there, and that's what you really found out when you
Mhm.
did intensive research,
Mhm.
and then went out there and was like, "Damn,
Yeah.
this ain't right." And then,
Yeah.
but oh wait, oh no, oh, boom, bam, boom,
And then I
bass,
know- yeah,
bass,
and then
2 at a
there we go.
time.
Yeah. Yeah, and I figured out where to start using it, and then copying on different lakes. When I started fishing the really big lakes around here, you know, all the Suffolk impoundments.
You
and
fish
things.
Burnt Mills?
I fished Burnt
Oh,
Mills,
yes.
Western Branch.
We should pull up
Prince.
Google Earth.
Prince.
We should pull up Google Earth before you leave.
Yeah, as I mean,
That was my favorite place to fish.
yeah, I've been there, and it's,
I love
it's
that
been
place.
kicking
It's
my butt.
really, oh man, this is the best time of year to fish there. You don't even, if you get all the way back to where those trees are in the water, you went too far.
Yeah, I mean,
You
we
went too
fished
far.
there early in the spring and did pretty well, you know, pre-spawn. Went over to Prince, and I'd actually found a topographic map of it. And so I was reading, you know, find the secondary points before the spawning flats and things. I found them. And when I went there and actually caught fish on them, that was the cool thing, you know. Then you're like, this makes sense now. And then you can replicate on every other lake in the area.
Yeah,
So that's the cool thing about
and that's
My-
doing all that research.
My favorite bass fishing, I used to like to really fish in the winter, freshwater fishing, but I used to jig silver buddies and catch whatever
Yeah,
bit them.
mhm.
You know what I mean? We had some real good white perch spots.
Yeah,
We would catch
crappie.
walleye and white perch and crappie, stripers, bass.
Silver Buddy seems like that's like I know what it is because we
Sold
it's like sold them at the shop, but yeah, it seems like that's like
That's what you do.
It's kind of like
Yeah, you just jig
the
and-
go-to kind of freshwater thing, right? I mean,
For the
in a way,
wintertime.
For the wintertime, man, it's just
wintertime
literally there's spots in a lot of these lakes that you can go out and catch fish on every drop all day.
Mhm.
with the Silver Buddy.
All day with the silver buddy. I mean,
Yeah.
sometimes they're
Yeah, I
the
did that
perch
over
this
the
big,
wintertime, too.
but then there's
And you
There's
might
big
get a-
birds.
Yeah, you might get a big bass in there every once in a while, so
I had a guy catch 2 6.5-pound walleyes with me one day.
that's
Mm.
sweet.
Yeah, whitehurst.
The winter bite, I actually like freshwater fishing in the winter.
Yeah, and I
better
mean it's predictable.
in the
You know,
summer.
you can find with especially on like a big lake. If you find a bank that they're stacked up on, you can go there every weekend until they move out for the spawn and catch them on a jerkbait every weekend. You just gotta.
Are you
find
recognizing
fish.
fish?
Mm.
You starting to recognize them?
No.
Like I mean,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
get some pet
yeah.
fish. Yeah. Like where if you would tag them, you're really
Yeah, then you
really
know,
good,
and I'm pretty sure they're like, I had a spot on Prince where I could go back there a couple times and catch. You know, they were all around the same size, and I might have caught a few like the
Same
same
with
one.
weird fin on it. And
Yeah,
shit.
and then and I'm pretty sure it was a school of like 10 fish. You know, and then
Yeah.
if you had the right cast, you could catch one on the right cast. You
Yeah.
know, every time.
I used to really like the summertime for the. I used to fish points. You know, I
Yeah,
used to love to go up
that's
to John Kerr Reservoir. I had a 17-foot bass tracker with a 9.9 on it for a long
Mhm.
time. It was my dad's, and we go up there in the summer, and there's no trees or anything in the water there in the summer.
Yeah.
The banks are so low, and I learned to fish points up there with Carolina rigs and deep crankbaits,
Yeah.
stuff like that. And then even learning that early in the morning in 20 feet of water,
You can catch them on top
You can throw a
water.
Spook
Yeah.
and they will come up and blast it. And, from the depths. I mean, bass jumping on a lure. Yeah, I mean, it looks like they're coming up from 20 feet. They just,
Shark, like great whites. Boom.
Yeah, same thing. I mean, you can go to the same spots you're fishing in the evenings and in the middle of the day and throw topwater lures in the morning and evening, and these fish will come up in 20 feet of water from the bottom. You were just catching them on a Carolina rig, a half-ounce egg sinker with a lizard behind it, you know what I mean, on the bottom.
Yeah.
And an hour later, they're just blasting topwater lures.
And like today, if my depth finder's broken, so I wasn't able to fish the ledges I was looking for. But like the ones I caught on the drop shot, I used my jig. I found like a brush pile. I threw that drop shot and I had it just sitting right over the top and just catching. They weren't very big. Like, I think my biggest fish today was like 16 inches. But just if you could find that, if I had a depth finder, I probably could have found a couple more brush piles. But just finding a brush pile like that, 8 to 12 foot of water on like a sloping bank.
Yeah, see, that's the thing is you got. It's not like us jigging on rocks. Like I can map it out by bouncing.
Yeah.
You can't bounce a brush pile. You go.
Yeah,
in
you get
it.
stuck in
Yeah.
it.
So,
But-
I'm good at that.
you're the mapper. You find out where all that stuff is without the fish.
Actually,
finder.
I have it pretty good because I don't have to do the research right now. He does all the research,
Yeah.
and I just sort of leech onto it. And he's got more time in some ways, although school's starting up now. But so I mean, literally, I usually go, "So what are we doing today?" And he's like, "We're going to try this thing called a shaky head." What's a shaky head?
And
But-
fish it like a gull.
yeah, and then that's me.
Oh,
So
the
he
shaky
tells me
head,
things
I-
like, "Think you like you're flounder fishing." I'm like, "Oh, I know how to do that." Kind
Yeah.
of thing,
The,
so.
dude, the bucktail the other day, the one I hooked that big cobia on, squid head just like I normally fish with, and it's the same thing as top notch throws, except Rick had one with a rattle in it,
Right.
and the fish hit it on the very first bite, and he said, I mean it was 2 hours since he had tried to
Right.
fish, but he
Right.
said it wouldn't eat anything, and he had eels and bucktails on the boat,
Yeah.
and it took
Or
one
rattle.
cast with that rattled
Rattle.
bucktail, and
Oh,
it
yeah.
got hit.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
And
that's
like
one
I
of
said, I
my-
didn't even see the fish. It was under the buoy at that point. I don't even know 100% if it was the one
right.
that
That
we
you
saw.
or he was seeing. And all that
Right.
stuff.
I mean, it was
But
just,
you know, rattles, man. I stick in my springtime
Oh, yeah.
in my springtime stuff, my spring red stuff. All my stuff has rattles in it.
Yeah,
And it's
then
just for me going,
colors, make a huge difference too. I'd fished the pier that I caught my biggest fish on. I'd fished with 3 different color plastics until I dropped. As soon as I was fishing darker colors, I put on a lighter one that looked sort of like a shad. First drop, it hit it. So it's just changing up plastic shapes.
That's
with
one
the
thing I don't
bass.
do enough.
yeah.
For saltwar, I don't.
Yeah,
do it.
even in saltwater, I constantly change. If you look at my deck at the end of the day, I've got like 30 different mirror lures on there, whole bunch of different colored plastics. It's just until you find the right one, then you can really map it out.
Yeah, that's I'm a little bit. I guess on the other side is like if they ain't hitting this, they ain't hitting it. You know, like if I can't make them hit this, if I can't get this in front of one, I ain't fucking changing nothing. I'm paddling over here. I'm paddling. Maybe there's one over here. Maybe there's one over here.
He'll paddle by. He's like, "You're still throwing that?" I'm like, That's what's tied on. Plus, I mean,
side on.
I'm at that point where if I want to change it, then I got to find my reading glasses. 'Cause I can't see the little hole anymore.
Yeah,
And it's like-
he's starting to just watch me go to the. I'm just now for the last. I'm 44. I'll be 44 next month. So I've just hit it now, and I'm
Yeah.
starting. Man, my eyes are just going, dude.
Yeah, so
when I was
it's
writing
like-
this
He's gonna
earlier,
cut
I
his-
could.
cut his
I
hand
blurred.
off.
It was blurred.
I got these things. You flip them down off your hat, and they don't work. So it's literally I have to really want to change at this point. I got 4 rods. I got 4 baits, unless a houndfish comes through, and that's what
Oh, yeah,
I'm
you
going
guys have
with.
big marshmallow problems
Oh
up there,
my
don't
god!
you?
It wasn't. I hooked 3 last time we were out on Saturday, but there's a lot of little ones out. There's a lot of like these 18
Yeah.
inchers.
Big ones are sort of fun.
And they just
Yeah.
take your tails.
Oh,
flip you
and,
plastics.
ones
and they
jump
look like
like
redfish.
crazy.
It drives me nuts because they'll follow your bait, and you're like, oh, there's something following,
Yeah.
like a skitter walker, and it ends up being an 18-inch houndfish every cast.
It was a few years ago. I was fishing along for the puppy drum and looking for him, and I got bored, and I found a houndfish, and I started.
throw in
I
front
flipped
of
the
it.
lure, and I
It's
started letting him follow the lure, and as soon as I got close enough to the boat, I let it drop, and a drum hit it right
Oh.
underneath of him.
Right?
Got a 19-inch drum right underneath of him that I didn't even see. It was I was just too busy, like messing with the houndfish. That this thing was following the lure across the. I mean, it was a sand bottom. I just wasn't even looking for him.
Yeah.
Oh, I
You know what I
caught a
mean? And I
citation
dropped it
trout
down, and
doing
as soon as I
that.
dropped it down, I saw him just bombing, and I was like, I can't believe I didn't even see that.
No, I caught a citation trout doing that. We fished all day. I caught a few trout, but was slow, so I was like, I'm going to start fishing for houndfish. So I threw my skitter walker out. I'm fishing as fast as I possibly can, getting those houndfish to hit it.
Yeah.
Trout came out of nowhere,
Yeah.
25 incher, and it's just like,
You think
I
that
wasn't
made
even fishing for
you think
him,
that kind of made that kind of went to
Yeah.
the where you started going fast
yeah, I mean, I'm
for
just
trees?
fishing as fast as I can and
Well, then-
hit it. So
then-
it must have been,
Then
know,
did you
throwing
take that
fast.
and go? I'm gonna start fast retrieving for trout all the time.
Yeah, I mean, right now it's fast retrieve, so,
Mhm.
but it's weird.
Kind of
No.
recess.
Forrest is on a personal mission to eradicate houndfish from the Chesapeake Bay. But actually, I mean, a big
Pretty
one.
fun.
They fight great, and especially if you're splicing footage. The first
Yeah.
couple of hits from a houndfish,
They
you
look
want some drag
great,
streaming
yeah.
footage, and you just cut off the part where you land it.
Oh, we got some crazy landing footage too. Like he had one on, and so he got next to him, and I caught a few, and I'm like, all right. So when I grab this leader, he's gonna jump into your kayak. I grabbed the leader, and he launched right straight teeth at him.
Whoa!
And it was like
Yeah.
a 4-footer too. This thing was giant, and it launched right at. He almost fell out of his kayak, and it was just,
Yeah, all I
it
saw
was
was those
crazy.
shredders coming
Yeah.
in.
Yeah,
those things are
yeah,
mean.
nuts. But they're crazy.
And they flopped right out. I mean, now it's running again across the kayak and
But I mean,
braid going over.
they jump like nuts. And it's so they're fun to catch.
They have a
but
lot
they're
of
annoying
endurance.
to-
Because a lot of fish, they'll fight hard, but then that lactic acid or whatever
They'll
builds
jump
up, and then they're
until
dead.
they
These things
get in the
never
boat.
really wear out.
They stink so bad. Though.
Oh, they're slimy too.
Yeah, they stink
Yeah.
so bad.
First one.
And they're not
Yeah.
fun when the price of skitter walkers and
Oh,
stuff
man.
now. When slice
wanna get
and
him
you see it going away. In fact, we actually we've gone by and collected lures
we
at the end of
found
the day where we've
Skitter walkers.
especially
Floating?
yeah, like
Yeah,
I had
yeah.
a bright orange one that I lost like third cast of the day once to a houndfish. We found it like 4 hours later.
That's good. Well, at least he shook it off and
Mhm.
oh
were
yeah,
able to see
yeah, they
it.
will shake them off.
Yeah.
I think they'd shake a lot
That's
off.
cool. You just go.
Because I've never
pick
seen
up.
any going by with one stuck in their face.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But,
Then you
There's a cobia around here with 9 foot of 50-pound fluorocarbon hanging out of his face. Who finds that?
Well, didn't you one time when we were out there? I think we were out there, cobia fishing off of Grandview many years ago, and then you have a houndfish come in and you cast it at it just for shits and giggles and
Yeah.
hooked it and it got in all your lines.
Yeah.
Like you just got 3 lines all wrapped up in everything.
Yeah.
It was like a big one.
They're stupid.
Yeah.
I was trolling off Sandbridge one day for kings in the kayak when I used to be stupid, and man, I thought I finally had a king. At the time I looked over my shoulder, I just saw a silver streak coming towards my bait, and it hits, and the line is just going zzz, and then it just skies out of the water, and it's like a 4 foot long, 3.5 pound pound fish, and just heartbreaking. Like really, I have to catch that now.
yeah, I don't like dealing with them up close and personal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they had a king. This one had a
Especially 'cause
king
they
ring on
only
its
eat
face. You got to
mirrors,
keep that.
Yeah.
Well, the little ones will swipe at a gulp if you swim,
Yeah.
that type of stuff, or any kind of swimming. But yeah, they take your tails.
We had
Yeah.
something. We had something small like that. I don't know whether it was bluefish, houndfish, something coming out on the ballyhoo the other day off the ocean front.
Mhm.
A couple times it would just go down and then bounce back up, and you get it back, and like the side is torn off
They're
of
catching
it.
a lot of ribbon fish off.
Yeah.
I saw that.
It's so
I hate
weird.
those things.
Yeah, they're kind of weird though. I mean, if you,
They're good king bait.
Yeah.
Have you caught them on the Hampton side of the HRV?
I've caught them here.
Last year we couldn't
We've had
flounder
them.
fish.
We had
They
them
were so
blitz inside here, where and at the end of the day, usually right at sunset, and there was just blitzing baits up against the shoreline. And I was just like, I knew what it was, but the fight's weird because they go backwards.
Yeah, no, and then you get their head out of the water and you think they're done, they just launch back
Yeah,
down. It's so
backwards.
weird, yeah.
Now, in fact, we have found a flounder spot, and it's pretty consistent. And the last 2 years, you can't get a bait. There's still flounder there.
Yeah, but you just can't.
But you
do
can't
them.
get a bait to
Those
them
ribbon
because the
fish.
ribbon fish are just
Crazy.
all over the place.
Yeah, yeah. They said you could eat them, and I filleted one up, and I was like, eh.
They're really thin.
Yeah, I think you gotta like fry them all together. Fry them up. It was, yeah. I just went to see what it was
Yeah.
like. I mean,
Yeah, but
hell.
you nuke fish bites, so.
Yeah. Well, also when I first started fishing, I kept the lizard fish just to see if it was edible.
Yeah.
And there's just bones all through that thing.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. It looked like it was good meat, but
Jay did catch a citation Spanish yesterday.
did he?
4
Yeah,
pounds.
4.5
That's
pounds.
huge.
That's a giant
On the
Spanish,
kayak?
dude. No,
The
the boat. Him and his friend.
yesterday. Oh yeah,
went
yeah. I
out
thought they went.
trolling around.
Oh, they went today. Didn't they go?
Yesterday.
Didn't they go today on the bridge?
That's big Spanish.
No,
Oh.
Yeah, 4.5 pounds. Yeah,
That's giant.
What else?
and a baby cobia on the Spanish bait.
Oh, I was trolling for that.
Yeah. Well, they were trolling the king plugs around, and they put out one Clark spoon, caught a baby cobia on that, and a 4.5 pound Spanish.
Huh.
Not bad.
Yeah. So, what is something? I'm going back to when I used to see you on the boats and you being a little kid and catching big black drum when you were like maybe you looked like you were like 20 pounds and those things were 80 pounds.
Yeah.
Have you guys still on a boat? Go on a boat?
I haven't been on a boat in a long time. I think since we got our kayaks, I've been in a boat maybe fishing like 3 times, and done a couple like guided trips out of state. But
Yeah.
like in state, I've barely gone.
Yep. Same here.
I like it all.
Yeah, I like it. I mean,
Yeah,
there's
I'd love
nothing
to
to
go
be
on a
said
boat,
for
but-
going on a nice sea bass run for filling the freezer.
Well, that's
Right.
something you can't do on a guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Something
Yeah.
different. Yeah.
But,
Yeah. Have you guys? You haven't gone to Eastern Shore and targeted stuff over there yet?
No, because school, it's so hard to get over there during the
Yeah.
springtime. I mean,
It's the end of your year. All
yeah,
that
and
stuff.
spring breaks never lined up right with the run. I mean, you could only get over there on a weekend. We've
And where you live
Carrollton,
Smithfield.
Carrollton,
yeah,
so
so
Smithfield. Yeah, it's not
the
like
James River Bridge. So
yeah. So you got to cross that. Cross there.
yeah, and
go
then
there.
yeah, I can't just go over there. Like we've been rigged up, ready to go over there, and then weather,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it's so hard to get out there.
we've done Kip to Peak a couple times.
Yeah, but that
With no luck.
mhm.
Yeah.
But,
Those are extinct.
Yeah,
the worst.
that's
Yeah.
It's terrible too because that was one of the most fun things in the. I mean, as far as
Victim of its
socially
own
wise,
success.
Mhm.
we could go out there. You could go out there and hang out with your friends and catch 30-pound fish.
Yeah, all
All night.
out. You just hang
all
out.
night, right next to
Yeah.
each other, and it was so random. But like I said, like I've always said, normally one person was hotter than everybody else.
Yeah.
We'd all be together.
Yeah.
mhm.
Yeah.
If it was your night, you would get 4 or 5, and everybody else would get 1 or 2.
Right. Well, I mean, the DVD is going to show a lot of details of how to fish that fishery that no fish are there anymore, but at least you
Yeah.
you know,
And the
show it.
drift, when we started doing the drift, that was really good. I mean,
The last year was just a very small amount of fish in that area, and they all
Yeah.
stayed off of Plantation Line.
Yeah.
It was really hard for it. And I
There's
had a hard time
1,000
just even
boats
get
there,
out
you
there.
know?
No, I just couldn't even get out there. I couldn't get the right weather and the right
Yeah.
tide shift.
Well,
and,
and it wasn't just the kayakers that were catching
Yeah.
stripers last year.
Right.
So,
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
it's
Yeah.
a sine wave. We're on the sort of a downside right
Yeah.
now, it looks like. But
They're all offshore.
because I mean, we hit the
That's right.
HRBT a lot, and the schoolie bite isn't what it.
You can
is
go there and
supposed
catch
to
a bunch of this long ones, but never
Well,
get
and
one over 25
when I
inches.
first started fishing there, and it was early 2000s or whatever. It was you basically walk across,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, I
up to
remember
20
going
Yeah,
there.
see, we were there in the boats then,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
you just pick out your fish in the
Well,
light line.
there was a question from one of the guys on there. He was talking about, for me, it was it's kind of along the lines of this. As he said on my Reds in a Row video, I was talking about the how fish are spreading out. Not so much that there are not so many of those anymore. Like with stripers, you go to HRBT, and if you used to fish there 10 years ago, you go like, "There's no more stripers,"
Yeah.
But what's happened and what I'm hearing from other guys that like basically kind of live in your area in the creeks of the tributaries back up in there, the schoolies are there. That's where the schoolies that used to be at HRBT used to
Yeah.
feed there. It's all in there. Reds, instead of all summer, we used to be able to have them here in like Lynn Haven. I mean, you used to go in there and whack them all summer long in Lynn Haven. 100 red days, and it's not so much anymore. It's because it's spread out.
Mhm.
They've gone all. I mean, there's a fishery in Maryland
Yeah,
for reds that wasn't
yeah.
there 5 years ago, and it's not that those fish are dying from the winters. It's those fish are
somebody catches a
spreading.
cobia off Cape Cod every summer now.
And there's
They
reds
caught,
in
they caught
Jersey.
2 off
Yeah.
of Rhode Island this year.
Right.
Yeah.
It's so weird.
Yeah.
It's the water is actually getting better. The water quality is getting
Oh,
better
yeah.
from all the regulations and all the stuff that's when the no regulations of the 70s and 80s, which wiped out fish. Putting those in place have actually cleaned the bay up. And when I was on that bay tour, I was like, I was looking at and seeing where he's dead. I wanted to see what it was kind of from what I always heard about the bay was the dead spots and the bad
Yeah.
conditions of the bay. And grass and healthy all the
yeah.
way through. I mean, I saw dead fish, but the water was 98 degrees. It was hot as shit. It was
Yeah.
like, of course there's gonna be stuff floating around, but the water's getting really healthy. Fish are spreading their range out. So the stripers that used to be at HRBT, because it was the spot, because it was too either messy or polluted up in the rivers,
Yeah.
that stuff is finally filtered through, where now the bait's going up in there and the fish are chasing there, up in the Maryland where the water's really nice and
Yeah.
clear. So that's one of the things with that, and with the stripers, it was along the same lines. The small stripers, the schoolies that we used to see at HRBT. Yeah.
No, we got to branch out some because you'll hear even up where we are in Smithfield. You hear somebody, I was up in this creek and there were stripers everywhere, and you can go there the next day and they're gone.
Right.
So they're moving around.
Yeah.
And you really got to put the time in
Yeah.
to find out.
And
And
it's
start to get
also-
a pattern to
It's
them,
also
the tides.
kind of, you hammer your backyard fishery, and you're going to run into the flows of stuff. Like
Yeah.
we go back here right now in my backyard fishery, and there's so much bait I can't catch a red. I would have to,
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
live bait
that is
'em,
too.
basically.
Yeah.
There's so much bait back there, and it's just that this time of year, because I know this time of year it is like that. As the fall gets, as bait starts going out, the fish in there will be a little bit more active to artificial. So
Yeah.
that's when I go back there and really actually have a little more fun. Right now I'm just like, moving out, going out to the front. So yeah, it's just patterns in different ways and things
Yeah.
moving and fish move.
Yeah.
And sometimes they just don't eat.
Yeah, I've been frustrated with redfish lately. I was over in one spot up in Pocosin, and I could see them. I was in maybe 8 inches of water, and you could see them from like 30 yards away. You could see one over there, and they were moving. And I tried with the fly rod for a really long time to get one, and I couldn't. I tried crab patterns, couldn't get those. Streamer pattern, couldn't get it. I had one hit on a topwater, like a diving popper. And then I even switched to gulp. Wouldn't hit it. They just wouldn't hit
And you
anything.
see 'em.
And you
You're
could
sighting
see them, yeah. And even like one that was active, you could see it pushing bait. I was sneaking up on that one. I was like, oh, I'm gonna get this one. A bird came down and ate a piece of bait, and that red was gone. And
So they
it's
were just keen on
yeah,
hitting on that
on
one
a
bait.
certain
Yeah.
on a certain bait, and even like if it was mullet, you throw something that looked like a fly, looked like a mullet. It had to look right, and they just wouldn't eat anything.
Yeah. And when they're that shallow too. I mean, when
Yeah,
their backs
I
are
was
up,
up
they're
on
real
the
skittish
sub.
then.
And
They're real
being
skittish.
as quiet as I can, you'd still spook them with the fly line.
But at least I had it worse, man. This past spring when I had schools of giant ones.
Yeah.
And they weren't biting it.
Yeah,
You got
that's
individuals. You
frustrating.
go, okay, that's bad cast. And I had,
Yeah, and
if I threw 20 times, okay, 10 of those maybe were bad.
yeah, when
6
you
of them
got
I hit around the
school,
head.
yeah.
But when you do perfect casting, you go, that was just
yeah.
right.
Why? And then especially when you got a school, you think if you threw something in front,
School.
they'd be competing
Absolutely.
for it.
And every other time it does.
Yeah, so it's just weird how one time it won't happen.
It's just that whatever that day is and whatever's going on, and yeah, and that can be frustrating. But the individual thing with reds is really cool because you really have to work that.
Yeah.
You have to not go not too far and spook them when you come at them.
Yeah, and I've had it down
Because-
sometimes, and then sometimes they just can't. They just don't want to eat anything. It's just frustrating, but.
Have you had, when you do a lot of sight casting over here, if you have you had them where I've seen this a lot of times. You ever hook them in the chin?
Sometimes, not as much.
Have you ever seen them? Have you seen why that happens?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen them miss my bait half the time, and I
seen
set
them-
the hook.
Stomp on a bait.
Really?
Basically put their face on it, not bite it.
Had that happen.
Not bite it. Like I've seen it. This is that because
Yeah.
I've hooked him in the chin before and was like, oh, he just missed. No,
Mhm.
he went
Huh.
to like see if it was gonna move.
Stun it.
No, or just pin it down for a second. Just to pin it down, just to see if it was gonna do. And so I've seen that a couple times at this point. And I was like, okay, I know what's happening because it's not in his mouth. No,
Yeah.
I can see that it's not in his mouth, and I just twitch a little bit. And he goes, oh, just had to give it
Yeah.
some kind of action, So
That's
yeah,
cool.
yeah.
Nice.
It's because I've hooked him here before. I'm like,
And then the other frustrating things is when they're that shallow, and you see on TV and things, they throw that fly right in front of them and they just crush it. I've had, with the visibility the water's been the last like 2 years, you can see them in 6-7 foot of water, and you get that fly sinking down in front of them. They won't hesitate. They don't even see it move. They'll just eat it. So sometimes in that deeper water, I think they're looking for food. They're just going to eat. When they're way shallow like that, they're set on one thing.
yeah.
And
And well, they're also in probably a heightened state because they're
Yeah,
shallow.
shallow.
So they
yeah,
have,
they got their tails sticking
yeah,
out.
they have they're looking up. at
The
same
aerial
time.
threat
Yeah.
exists. Yeah.
It's weird because it seems like I've seen 30 inchers and it seems like I don't know if they understand when they get to a certain size they're too big for ospreys. It seems like obviously the big ones don't care. I mean, but they know they're not going to get hit by osprey. But it seems like I don't know if they really would know or if it's maybe it seems like you would always have that, even though they're big. Like big black drum don't realize they're big.
No.
Yeah.
You look at them and they're spooking away like a little fish, you know.
Jet ski Brian up there, if you follow him, he's got these pictures of the ospreys, holding fish all the time and everything, but he's got eagles too, and they can grab some big fish.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've had eagles in our backyard. We got a pond with a bunch of catfish in it. I've seen eagles pick up catfish, this big, and they can barely fly, but they've got it. They're gonna eat it.
I've seen an osprey hit a trout one time that was too big for it to get out of the water.
Yeah,
it
I've
was
seen
just-
that with ospreys with catfish.
Yeah, they start sinking in.
Yeah,
and it's like they're tipping
flapping.
wings trying to get up and they'll go for it for a long time before they let go of
Yeah.
it.
That's good eating.
The hot dogs.
When I was playing,
Trout are smushy, Not a
when I
lot of
was
things
playing Little
poking it.
League,
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
back in the day when I was playing Little League, in the middle of one of our games one time, an osprey just flew up onto the light and started eating a bass. I was bass fishing a lot at the time too, and I'm like, so mad right now.
Killing bass.
Yeah. The other thing up where we were was we were up there for the club challenge. We had a good trout day. So we're like,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, they fished the club.
we're gonna go
Trout
back.
day.
We're gonna go back. We get back there, and it's Dolphin City.
Yeah.
Well, they ate every trout in town.
Yeah,
and it
they
was-
were in there. It was sort of
yeah.
fun to watch them because you could see them. They're balling it
Yeah,
up
like
and
3
stuff.
foot of water,
But
it's crazy.
as soon as we sort of made our little turn to where we knew you're like, ugh.
Yeah, we caught maybe
Yeah, and
2
you-
That was a
trout
long
day.
paddle for nothing.
And that's basically having a commercial fisherman on your spot.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's happened before
With
too.
sonar.
I know, yeah, with
it's,
sonar.
It's just like, so it's sort of cool and it's rather depressing at the same time. Because
Yeah.
then we got to go, all right, well, now where are we going to go?
Yeah, because
Yeah,
those
gotta
trout are
find
going to
another
be
spot.
buried in the grass,
Yeah.
and they won't come out for
No,
anything.
not for a while.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That was depressing.
Yeah, I've had that too, where I've seen them coming like, all right. hold
Well,
up for a while.
that red I
I
released.
talked
that's
about
so,
that the other day. I was telling somebody about that the other day.
I caught a drum off of the Little Creek jetty one day, and it was hooked real bad in the gut. I mean, or the throat. I took the hook out of it.
And I tagged it.
Kevin tags it.
Because
There was dolphins in the
bleeding,
air,
it was
like-
bleeding, but it wasn't like
It
bleeding.
can still survive.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
We
Maybe, well,
and it was. You put a tag in it to see if it does.
Yeah.
That type of thing.
Yeah.
You write that stuff down. But
so put it in the water, and I don't know if it was 30 seconds. It was a few seconds.
it was enough.
10
It would have been enough time for that fish to go down, and for these dolphins to come in, and all of a sudden we hear whoosh whoosh whoosh.
Whoop.
We see a red, and then a dolphin right behind.
Yeah. Like he's
So
on.
the fish was down there like recovering, kind of
Yeah.
bleeding a little bit. Dolphins
dolphin-
had
And
it.
it's done.
they'll take
It's
slot
out.
reds too.
Oh yeah,
They take
yeah.
nice reds.
It was like what was it, 20-something?
Yeah, it was a
Oh,
20-something
yeah.
inch. It was nice.
Yeah,
It was a nice
absolutely.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and that one was done.
Yeah.
I have no faith that one
The
escaped.
time the osprey grabbed a sheep's head that I had tagged. Well, I had a tag in it, but it was at the jetties
Yeah.
on the other jetties, and where I was tagging, I tagged a lot as a sheep's head, little baby ones, like little baby ones. You know, you and Rick were going out one day when like this osprey came and wham, and took off, and you see the tag sticking out of the sheep's head. Make sure you call in and get a shirt.
No, but even up in Pocosin, we've been seeing spadefish, sheep's head, pompano. We've seen all kinds of stuff up in there.
On
Little.
just open water.
On the grass.
Okay.
Yeah, but I mean 3-5 foot of water.
Yeah.
And I saw a sheep's head last year. It was like this big. It wasn't bad. I tried to throw a gulp in front of it. He didn't touch it. But the spadefish were all like this big. I saw a big pompano though. Up there, and I didn't know what it was at first. It was sort of shiny. I thought it was a bluefish,
Mhm.
and then I was like, "Oh my god!" It was definitely citation size
Yeah.
pompano. And they catch them up in Gloucester all the time.
Those are
So.
super delicious.
Just on the grass.
Yeah, just cruising on the ground, almost like a permit.
Because it's such a beach. You always hear you're right on the surf.
Yeah, but the same
Yeah,
thing
but I mean,
lives
they
in the
catch 'em on
grass.
the
Those
grass
little
in
crabs and the
Florida,
little
you know?
stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
you're down in Florida when I used to live down there, you get your little pompano jigs, and then
Mhm.
you clip half the hair off them so they're really short.
Yeah.
And then you work it. Now you want to work it with the potholes, you know, so you got grass and you got sand, you just pop
Yeah.
them right through there with a little piece of shrimp on or something. So, yeah, I mean, we don't see a lot of them, although the little spades, there was a lot of them up there. So I don't know if that's like the estuary where they go up in there and hang out till they're a little
Oh,
bit
with sand
bigger.
nets,
or
we've
what.
caught real little ones,
Right.
you know, like
You see them in Rudy before,
dime
like that.
size,
Yes.
you know, yeah. And so I guess it's the estuary. And we see a lot of puffer fish on the flats, ton of them.
Hmm.
They'll tear,
They're
and they're all
pretty-
like this big.
That's good
And you can
size.
see, and you can see them cruising through the grass and stuff. But there is a lot of puffer fish. up there.
They actually they'll get
Should
real
have to get
aggressive.
you a little
and-
pufferfish
Yeah.
rig and catch some things and throw them in the cooler.
Mhm.
Well, I mean,
Yeah,
they're
they're
kind
good.
of they'll come up like triggers. I mean, they're kind of in the same
Oh,
aggressive.
they're aggressive,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, because because I still throw gulps.
Yep.
You know, they'll come back with looks like little cookie cutter
Yep,
sharks.
Yeah.
exactly.
You know,
And
little
when
chunks
that
of
happens,
them.
I'm going, all right, I'm rigging for that. Now. I'm going out of my little spot
You
rig.
can see the gap in between their
Yeah.
teeth.
Little slides. Yep. It's
Yeah.
either that or triggers. And if it's usually inshore, it's not triggers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't see those up there.
No,
Yeah.
never seen a triggerfish up there.
Didn't see a triple tail this summer. First
Yeah,
one I've
they're
ever seen.
cool.
Really, yeah.
You should get those down in Florida. They're very cool fish.
Yeah, I wish they came up here more.
It would have
Just-
been really. It would have been really cool if we
I was
waited another
stationed
5
down in Panama
seconds.
City,
Okay. Yeah.
and
I
if you
wasn't
could,
there.
if you,
You
yeah,
didn't
you
see it too
weren't,
young.
you weren't born yet.
Oh boy, born yet. Yeah.
But yeah, if you found a grass line
Yeah.
that was inshore, you might get some little mahis on it, but you get triple tail on it, and they fight great, they eat great. Kind of ugly, like a dinosaur looking thing.
That's
coming
right.
at you, but man, they are cool.
And see, I
fish.
knew about those when I did my Florida tour, and so I was looking, but I just never saw one.
Yeah.
You know.
We fished with a guide. We went red fishing with him down in Jekyll Island. So
Yeah,
he's
Georgia.
doing that southern Georgia
Mhm.
area there. But they get that like 3 weeks when the triple tail
And they're
are on
giant,
the buoy
yeah,
line.
they're like
They
this
are
big.
monsters. And he's like, "You guys gotta come back when it's triple tail season."
Yeah.
Yeah, they're giant. They're on any. They'll be on a channel marker, a crab pot. I mean, they hang on anything, and they're giant. So
The one I saw was just swimming out in the middle of the bay. But literally,
Push it
JC and I looked at each other and were like, "Is that bag swimming?"
Yeah.
Yeah, that bag is it's triple tail. And we just turned towards it, and
So
man, it was just the week before he had seen one, and he scared it.
Mhm.
Didn't get a shot. This week we had a guy on the front with a fly.
oh
Yeah.
He didn't wait long enough, and he threw the bucktail, and it turned on the bucktail, but the bucktails are just too big. This
Yeah,
cobia
it
jig's
wants a
just
little shrimp. You know.
if he
Yeah,
had
we should
waited
just throw a
2
piece of meat
seconds
at
and
him.
that guy, I mean, the guy was already backcasting.
Mhm.
If he had waited 2 seconds and that fly hit in front of that triple
Oh, he
tail,
would've
it
been
would have been. I mean, the way he turned on that bucktail, it was over.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Did
I
it
think it
disappear
would've-
after he turned the bucktail?
Yeah,
No.
yeah, oh yeah. He turned and swam at it.
And then was just didn't.
Yeah, I mean, you have to work it. It's a 2-ounce bucktail. I mean, you got to work it.
Yeah.
He would have to come
Got it.
catch it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I saw one a couple weeks later at the behind Jay's boat that had been filleted at the dock. That was about the same size, body wise. I thought this thing was gonna be a lot smaller than it was. The one I saw that I thought was 4 or 5 pounds was probably like 10, 12.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean the fish that I saw at the marina was just so thick, and it was the same like size as the one we
Yeah.
saw.
Right.
You know what I mean?
They're like a
They're
sheep's
just
head almost.
yeah, they're just,
Right.
they
Yeah,
don't
they're
look that big when he's
pretty
laying on
sturdy.
top like that, but he was
Thick. Big.
thick. Yeah, they're thick, like you said, like a sheep's head. They're just the chest is really thick.
Yeah.
It was cool to see that one at the at the dock.
Yeah. Well, especially because you just saw one.
Yeah, 'cause
You
I'd
wanted to
seen
kinda
one the week
get an
before.
idea what-
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. You guys ever target cobia off of Grandview, all that stuff in the spring?
No, never.
Summer?
Never.
We got one last year. A
Yeah,
baby.
he caught a 19.5 incher.
While casting around?
Fishing
Yeah.
for speckled trout.
Oh yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, that's
Yeah.
happened to yeah,
Mike,
Mike. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the only cobia we've ever experienced.
Oh, we got them
I've
on
targeted
boats
them.
before. I mean,
Yeah,
we got
we
them on
caught 'em on
Stan's
boats,
boat, but
We've never targeted them out of the kayaks.
You know, I mean, you're close right to Hampton. I mean,
Mhm.
that's where I'm
it's just a
targeting them
single
this year.
thing all day, and you might not make a single cast.
But that's
Mhm.
that's
Yeah.
that's that fishing. Then I
Yeah.
I kind of like that fishing. It's
Didn't
big
you see
payoff.
one?
Yeah. Oh
Did you?
no, I hooked one.
Oh yeah. Oh.
Yeah.
Big
Yeah.
one. Big
Yeah.
one.
Yeah, it's just like when like his bad luck, you know,
Mhm.
yeah, they've been having such bad luck that that moment.
Nobody around us can catch cobia.
But that moment, no, it's not that you didn't rub off on me. That was my fault on all that one all the way. But that I love that moment after it happens because I remember when I lost it, when I realized what happened, it was gone.
Yeah.
It was like I didn't get upset. I just wanted to get reset before I got upset.
Yeah.
I wanted to get set up before I really lost it. So I just
bad.
like, all right, it just happened.
So apparently there's just some nice stripers in Lynn Haven.
Let me get together before I start to cry.
Yeah.
Before I start to shake.
Realize that you lost a giant
just
cobia.
get reset and keep going, and then half hour later,
We call it doing the Burnley because
Yeah,
you got it in
remember
one of your videos, but we've seen Rick do it. He just goes.
yes, this is the first video.
So instead of screaming, we do the Burnley. Just go,
I try and get away with that, but a lot of times that doesn't work.
Well, that's what I did when I saw that. I saw a bigger one than I had tackled for just a couple weeks ago on the bridge.
Yeah.
I looked at it and went, oh. Just because I knew, it was just
not worth trying.
Well, it's just I made a couple casts at it, but that was cool because I knew when I peeled away from it, when I saw it, I was like, okay, I'm gonna do this. I was excited, but I was like calming my excitement because I wanted to get rigged up first.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff, and I was excited, stood up, and was like disappointed.
Yeah. No, he did that. We were in a tournament in North Carolina, and we had targeted redfish.
Tournament.
So we were,
Tournament.
yeah, we were.
They had immediately dropped.
Yeah, it was a slam tournament, and he had like a 26-inch redfish. We couldn't find a flounder, but and trout in this tournament are hard to come by. If you caught a 20-inch trout, you're either going to take first or second every year, and he already had his 26-inch red. So if he could get like a good trout and a flounder, he'd have one. We're fishing a bridge for flounder, and he hooks up on something, his head shaking. He thinks it's a flounder. He brings up at least 20 inches trout. He'd never seen one. And he fights it for like a couple minutes, and then out of nowhere, he gets the net, and then the jig shoots out of the water. And he's just like, I'm like, where's the trout at? And he's like, no trout.
No trout.
Well, actually, at first I thought it was in the net because I have no idea. I'm watching him swim. I got the net, and then he shakes his head like trout do. The jig flies out, so I'm like, at least he's in the net. And I swing up, and I'm like, no trout.
That was the only one we had seen all week too.
Yeah.
It was out of nowhere. There was a 20-inch trout sitting on this bridge, and it was
Yeah, we had a great red trip. I mean,
the redfish. We had them dialed in. We'd never find it up here. We were in a big bay, but there wasn't anything there. There was a couple oysters scattered around, but it was dirty water, nothing there. 2 feet, small tide change, so it wasn't really anything.
Mm-hmm.
We had a school of reds that we could find every day, and they were just in like a half a football field size area and circling through. And we found them the first day because I pulled in on a spot, and there was a popping cork sticking out of the water, and it'd go under and pop back up. So I caught it.
Jugged him.
Yeah, and it's 26-inch redfish. And then at first we didn't realize what we were onto. We went back out the next day and found another one with a popping cork, a different one, and so then we were like, all right, they're in here.
Did you get the pop? Did you go up and grab it?
No, I
Okay.
threw a mirror lure across it, dragged it,
Okay.
and then fought, because these popping corks, they're not like set on they're not clip-ons, they're like actual rigs.
Mhm.
So you could snag the popping cork and fight the fish.
Yeah.
And
'Cause he's already
every
good.
day, yeah,
Yeah.
every day we'd go up. He lost a popping cork in one, came back the next day, was sitting right where we knew he'd be.
We didn't find him again though. He took
No,
off.
he took off, but it showed where the redfish were every day. It was
So funny.
and
Put a marker buoy on them.
Yeah,
They'll be
and-
right
but
here.
just
But
follow
also
them,
you learn they
they
sweep
sat in this
through
one area
and they'll sweep through and clear it out, and
Yeah.
then they'll move to and they'll sweep through and clear it out.
You got
And then-
our new plan. We'll take your tagging gun, and instead of putting tags in them, we'll just attach little buoys.
Yeah, just follow
We'll know where the drum
Yeah,
are.
go back.
We'll know where the drum are.
And they were
like all
sitting
the
in the
time.
same spot every day, and you'd go in, you'd pull up there like 6 o'clock in the morning, and you'd be like, all right, there's the popping cork, they're right there. You'd throw your lipless crankbait or your topwater around there and catch one. You'd see them all just erupt, and disappear, and then you'd like land the fish, come back in, and they wouldn't really accept artificials anymore, so you'd throw like a chunk of mullet up in there. Bobber, popping cork, go right under, catch another one, they disappear, come back, and it was just all day. You just do it constantly, every day too. And
That's
it wasn't.
one thing about the reds. You can spook them, and it's like they go,
Yeah, and
Spook
we'll
for
come
a
back,
second.
and then it was every day they'd come back to the same spot, and it was just a weird thing. And they were all, you know, the 24 to 27, 28 inch range.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He
they
got
were
one
nice
that was like 29 and a half.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
They were nice fish.
and so that was, and it was every day. You know, you just
Yeah.
go back to the same
One
spot.
of the
But that never
things-
happened.
When did that pattern change out?
It never
When
did.
we left.
Yeah, we left them like that. And we had different tides every day, different moon phase, different
But it was still the
different
same
weather.
time?
No, all day.
Was it okay? So they weren't. This wasn't a place they were sweeping through. This is a place they were holding.
Yeah, they would. You'd pull up on the spot. They would hold there. You'd throw your bait in, catch one. They'd go away. 15 minutes later, they'd come back. And and you had to find them again. They'd be like on this 30-yard stretch of land.
What time of year is that?
This was last week of July.
Okay.
We were down there for a week.
And you'd have to find them in the same area. But once you found them again, your
This is a
board go right
huge
under.
bay. I mean, it's pretty wide open, and
We found a few scattered. In
why
other
they
places,
like this
but
one
they were
section more
concentrated
than
right
any, because you're like, oh, creek mouth? No, not
Deeper,
really.
No.
No, it's
Divots.
just nothing. There was
Maybe
maybe
it's a
like
worm hatch right there. or
yeah, I
something.
mean maybe there was a couple oysters there. That
Yeah, I
was
mean,
it.
they are nice
and a
down
lot
there.
of like PVC pipe marking oyster spots, but there wasn't many oysters there. Like I think they were marking clams too.
Right. Right.
And
Yeah, you can lease, in North Carolina, when they lease out spots for oyster farming or
Mhm.
whatever, they got to market real good. But some of these beds were new or
yeah,
Or-
it was
or
just, but they
old.
were
Either
just
way,
holding
there
it.
wasn't
It
much
was
happening.
weird.
But you're talking about is one of the things we figured out, sort of not really a secret, but there's so much bait. There's the same down there, so we're throwing live bait in this. We're not getting anything.
Cut it in
the
half.
tail off.
Yeah, just cut it.
Huh.
Get a little bit of scent going.
Yeah.
And it would be
struggle.
right away.
A little bit
Yeah,
of struggle, yeah. He's still pulsing a little
Yeah.
bit.
right away.
Right away.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I think that's one thing that I think Blake used to do with his mullet too. Sometimes if they're too powerful, they clip one half of the tail or something like that. I've heard that. I've heard that also with doing.
Yeah,
yeah,
break
just get a
the backs
little,
and stuff,
mess him up a little bit. He's my theory was, oh, we don't have to work for that one.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
just
it's almost like
slurp
cat
it down,
Right. Totally.
like calorie burn versus intake
Yeah.
kind of thing or whatever.
Well, they're always looking for the easiest for the
Yeah.
less
Yeah.
burn. Yeah.
You know, that thing just sort of fall down through them. But no, we had a good. That was in fact we had better. Usually we go down North Carolina and say, man, I wish we catch reds like we do up home, but this year it was.
Yeah, obviously,
the
you
opposite.
can't catch redfish like that because, like up here, you never know where they're going to be on a flat or something. There, every day, same spot.
Well, that's the
same
thing is,
fish.
even when we're at the ocean shore, it changes.
Yeah,
it changes.
they're not in the set spot.
But we can get patterns that we can get for a couple days, but then we can't stay up there for that long. Right?
Yeah.
We can get maybe 4 days, and then bam, 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 and that changes something else. And then by
Yeah.
the time you get back, you have to kind of relearn the pattern again. But there's a pattern, but it moves around that area. It's also a little bit more seasonal. It's probably down there. Where is this? Is this Carolina? What
Yeah.
part?
We're down by
Wilmington.
Okay,
Wilmington.
so so
Yeah.
we're also a place.
Oh, was that
that's
the tournament that the Billy and them fish?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
we
yeah,
fish
yeah,
with them
yeah.
every
Yeah,
year.
and there's no grass. It's completely opposite of me. There's no grass. There's oysters and the
Mhm.
ICW.
Right.
That's it.
Yep.
And
And no houndfish. Which
no
is nice.
houndfish, but
No
there's
houndfish.
pinfish.
Yeah.
The pinfish there are horrible. I mean,
Yeah.
you can't keep any type of scent on the bottom. I mean, the redfish would push the pinfish out of the way where we were, but if you tried to chunk bait anywhere else, or even live bait, you couldn't because the pinfish was
beat them up
so
and just
thick.
harass it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and they were all this big.
Yep.
It's,
Yeah. What questions you got on the Facebook
Jay's
page?
interview.
Jay's interview, yeah.
I saw that.
And one guy just sent in a picture of a nice striper he caught in Lincoln Bay last night. So
Back in the back. That's
Yeah.
yeah.
A lot of stripers on Pocosin right now, little ones. They're
Yeah.
fun on top water. I had one on Saturday. He hit it 6-7 times to the top water before he got it, as the waves were starting to stack up. It was a little windy, and they were just the plug fly out of the water. It landed. They come and tackle it again. It was pretty neat to watch. He was only 17 inches.
Yeah, now it's kind of getting cooler. Well, it's been warm the last couple of days, but the sunlight's getting lower. Or starting to shrink up because notice that in the mornings. Probably gonna start taking some striper type of, because I do like throwing stuff against the rocks. Like I do like
yeah.
throwing
That's-
like
yeah, it's
Yazuris
easy,
and stuff
yeah.
like that against the rocks.
Yeah.
That's always a lot of fun because you have to get accurate. You have to put it right, especially for a striper. You gotta get in the rocks.
Yeah.
So I was at the tackle shop. I was telling people I'd set up something, get in the rocks, like
Yeah.
hit that rock, drop it here, and then start pulling it out.
Yep.
Yeah, a foot is
Wind
might
cheaters.
as well be a mile.
Yeah, because they want to see it come out of the rocks. They don't
Yeah.
want it to just fall right here. They want to see it come behind them. Yeah, for some reason, it's weird. It's weird. wind cheaters out there, but I like Azuris and I'll use a rattle trapper too, but I do clip some hooks off of them.
Yeah.
Take some missed bites.
Huh?
I'll take some missed bites.
Yeah, did not
I
get
just
hooked
threw the
a bunch.
hooks, but, yeah.
Yeah, I'm just scared of it, dude. I've gotten stuck. Too
Oh
many
yeah,
times.
I got nailed in North Carolina. I had a redfish with a lipless crankbait hanging out of its mouth. He shook his head and it went all the way through my hand and then ripped it back out. It's just like it's not. Then you're bleeding, so it's not fun. But
And then then it's bleeding, and then about an hour later it starts to sting,
yeah,
and then
the
it starts to
salt
get
water
sore,
gets in it, yeah.
and it starts to because
By the time you get home, pus is coming out of it.
Yeah.
dude, go tog fishing with us in the wintertime. You're cracking crabs open
Yeah.
all day.
Oh,
Your
yeah.
hands are shredded just from that.
Speaking of that, Jay wants to know if you're ever going to fish the bridge.
I'd like to. I mean,
He said Eastern Shore, but he didn't even this side of the bridge.
No. He said both. But he said
Okay.
Target Bridge.
We already
Species
asked him about
or
the
the
Eastern
Eastern Shore.
Shore.
Yeah.
Eastern
but I'm-
Shore is just hard to get over there.
But
I'd love
here,
to,
I mean,
but-
even just right here, you know.
Yeah, I've never got out to the bridge and love to. We have all the gear for it. We know what to do, but we just haven't
That's
been
not too
able
far
to
for
make
you.
it.
No,
it's
no,
not
it's-
that.
you don't have to go
We just
far.
haven't been able to make it out
yeah,
there.
I have no idea why we haven't done
Yeah, we just.
We'll start bugging you
we
next
just go
time.
redfishing.
I'll start bugging you next.
That's
next
probably
Yeah.
it. We just go with what's
Well, you-
easy and comfortable.
And you're right there. You would.
Yeah, I mean, it's 20
Yeah.
minutes you can catch redfish. And
I mean, I haven't been going to Eastern Shore just because of just money and just going
Yeah.
over there. I try not to go over for a day if I'm going over. I want to
yeah,
get my money and
that
spend
makes
the night
sense.
out
Yeah,
there.
and since
But
I can't do that.
so I just kind of limited
scheduling.
myself on going over a lot.
Yeah.
But so
Yeah.
that's why all I've been doing is just hitting spades. I mean, I'd go out there and I won't even target anything else. I'll just go spade fishing.
Yeah, and I'd love, because I've always thought, we used to fish the bridge for the black drums and stuff,
Mhm.
and I know they're incredibly skittish, but love to get a big black drum. And we've fished for sheepshead before in boats and spade fish, and just getting all those things out of the kayak would be awesome.
Yep.
Just haven't been able to get in the Kraken this winter for next year. It'll be
Good
long,
this winter,
but-
good.
Yeah,
Good.
I'm
We'll
hoping
be able to
to
see
get
it.
It's,
Hopefully
is
I
it,
get
they
in
just make
October.
one? Is it just one size on that?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just
Okay.
15.6, but it's long.
That's what I ride
Yeah,
with my
that's what-
Ultra.
Yeah,
That's what I ride with my Ultra.
Jim
Yeah.
likes those big boats.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's it's basically a longer version of the Cuda, but it's not as tall and fast. You
Yeah.
know, so it
What-
almost looks like the.
The only
Giants.
thing, I mean, I haven't seen it in person. The only thing that I would say negative from my personal opinion is the seat. I would want a seat like a real paddling seat. Like a tarpon seat is probably the best sit, low.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
tarpon seat is awesome.
Mhm.
That thing is probably the best seat there is
Mhm.
for a open water
Paddling,
boat.
yeah.
Yeah, real paddling because it's real. It's like they're sitting side seats.
Yeah.
You know,
And it's comfortable.
Yeah.
It's not you're not sitting on plastic.
Yeah,
You're
ocean
sitting in
kayaks,
the seat.
you always have to upgrade to an aftermarket seat. And those high seat backs, I mean, I know they build those things for big dudes, but my elbows hit them.
Yeah,
From my
that-
backswing,
I've
it
come
hits
to where I
the.
don't do it anymore, but yeah, I remember when I first got
And this
mine.
is
it was a
predator
pain,
too.
but-
I mean, I had to
Yeah.
chicken wing when I'm paddling, which wears you out, wears me out. But that's just because I'm tight, you know.
Yeah, it's low angle,
Yeah.
and then it was right. I got my high angle paddles now, so now you can really dig,
Yep.
and it's a better feeling. You get fatigued more, so when you're doing like 5-6 miles, it's not as fun as by the time you're done, you're tired. When you're low angle, you're not as tired.
Mhm.
But in those high seats, it's pretty much all high angle.
Is that a high two possession chair also? Is that
no,
just as low?
No, it's just low.
Good.
And it's just low, and it moves back and forth.
I
for,
did
like,
see that.
surfing.
I did see that.
That is pretty
You
neat.
trim
He said between weight.
Yeah,
distribution.
because if you have fish in the front, you put your seat in the back.
Uh huh.
If you got
You
your
fill the
live well
live
full,
well.
move it to the front.
Did you see that?
so.
Did you know that?
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
This
Yeah,
is new
adjustable
track.
trim.
Nice.
And then-
So adjust for weight.
For I'm going to use it for long distance paddling on the flats.
Yeah.
You can move the seat all the way back. You got a huge stand platform.
Yeah.
And,
How wide is it?
29 and a half, I
Oh,
think.
it's wider than I thought it was gonna be.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's almost like a Cuda.
Yeah, it's way wider than I thought it was gonna be. Yeah.
Yeah, he wanted
Yeah,
to make
but
it.
He can
Same as-
stand on Rick's shoulders on the jellyfish.
Yeah.
He can stand on Rick's shoulders on the jellyfish, by the way.
Right.
Because I'll turn around and he'll have, if he's not on his sup, he'll put the seat in the CUDA in the high position, and then he'll be standing on the seat.
Woo!
That's right.
It's,
That
that's a little
CUDA
teeter,
changes dynamics as soon as you put it on that high
Oh,
seat.
yeah,
Because
but
when I rode it at the
once-
demo,
yeah.
I was like, because low chair I was like, okay, this is a decent paddle boat. This kind of feels like a regular boat.
Real tipsy.
I put it up like that far. I'm like, whoa,
Yeah.
it's a different boat.
I don't do anything in the high seat
Nah.
pretty much.
I only do high seat really. I mean, if I'm doing a long paddle, I'll paddle out in low seat and then switch to high. But the paddle back, I'll do high.
Well,
and then
in my
high-
Predator, I had to use it in the high seat because I have to use a high angle paddle.
Bashing your.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was hitting my elbows too low. I mean, but it was also I don't like paddling that way for that distance either.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
weird.
Yeah. You want to like paddling
I'd sit up on the edge of the thing, cross my legs underneath of me, and almost paddle like a canoe
Yeah.
for a while, just to do something different.
Just get
Yeah.
your canoe.
Yeah, well, since I've got them by probably 100 pound, I like to keep my center of gravity pretty low.
Yeah.
So I don't change the seat position.
Do you do this sup? You have one of those too?
I've used his some.
Okay.
Subs are super stable.
It's like standing on a-
Yeah,
Well,
It's even
really-
wider than a
Yeah.
longboard surfboard.
Yeah.
man.
Oh, yeah,
It's
it's
just
a
you can
glorified
walk
surfboard,
around all day.
right? I mean, yeah, you can do like, you can jump to a full 360 on that, no issue. And standing up on that cooler, you can like fumble around, turn around, grab your rods and stuff. That sup is so stable, it's not even compared to a kayak. You can't
No,
get
It's
right.
there.
only
It's-
initially
yeah.
though.
Yeah.
Once you get it leaning, it's over.
I've never.
Yeah, but you
done
lean it-
anything.
Oh
Yeah, I
yeah,
don't
dude,
know
it's
how-
got to be almost like.
It's like that in the
Yeah.
native.
Yeah.
They're well, that's more of a actual stand up because
Yeah.
the native one is more like a kayak.
It's like a kayak.
Yeah.
It's a hybrid.
Flat.
Yeah.
Like
Flat,
instead of a canoe kayak hybrid, it's like a
Something
stand up paddle hybrid.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then while the superficial, it's just flat. You know,
Right.
everything's flat.
Right.
It's got the molded up edges so your bait doesn't fall off and stuff. But yeah, it's just a paddle board.
You haven't been riding it lately?
No, because I've been going farther. You know.
Ah, yeah.
but,
Yeah.
You gotta stand up all day because I mean, it's faster than the kayak, isn't it?
No,
No.
not even close.
Not that one.
Not that one.
Oh, see, because the dude that was out there off Sandbridge last year
Oh,
with
the
us
Ahab boats and
was
stuff.
like
Those things are fast. Oh,
But
yeah.
that was a regular
just a
stand up.
stand up
Yeah.
paddle.
Oh yeah,
surfboard.
stand up
Dude, this
paddle
dude was
boards are
just
fast.
Yeah.
But the superficial is not.
Yeah.
And
Maybe
so like,
for more stability, more comfort, because his is not as stable as that either.
right.
yeah, I mean, yeah, this thing is stable. You could bass fish on it all day. It's great for like if you're flipping and stuff, setting that hook, and yeah, it's almost like it's like a bass boat. And
Right.
so if you're fishing smaller lakes, and not paddling very far, it's great. And for sight fishing,
Yeah.
you know, the spawn this year was awesome on it for the bass because you get up on that cooler, see them, position yourself to where it's almost like a bass boat. You know, you get that hook set, and then red fishing off of it, it's awesome, and then fly fishing. So, I do most of my bass fishing on it unless I'm in the Suffolk Lakes where I'm not allowed to.
What is that?
then-
No
There's a whole big
paddleboards
story
in
on
the
that.
Suffolk
You
Lake.
can't-
Really?
Yeah, so I
That
just sit
had to
on
be a
that
new
pool.
rule because that just kind of.
Oh yeah, because I went to Stumpy Lake and caught carp, and then I posted up, you know, and they were like, "Oh, you can't do that anymore on the sup because it's a sup."
They're worried about somebody falling out, too
Yeah.
shallow. Is that
No,
what
they're
it
worried
is?
about falling out and
People swimming.
yeah, swimming.
Swimming is illegal, and technically
Swimming,
you're like
yeah.
on a surfboard
So
or
if
whatever.
you
You're
fall,
not in a
you
boat.
can fall
Got it.
out
That-
and
got
go
it.
swimming.
Got it.
Yeah.
I was thinking maybe more looking out for safety. You fall out because it is like more of a surfboard.
That's
You
like
fall
Rudy.
out,
I mean,
you're
I've seen some
smacking
people the
your
other
head
day
in
jumping
shallow
off
water.
of them in Rudy,
Yeah.
like
Mhm.
crazy, and I'm like,
Yeah.
you're gonna get everybody.
Yeah,
They're gonna cause trouble for everybody.
Mhm.
Because winter, Stumpy Lake is a nasty lake. Okay, now I think at one point it was a great bass lake, but now it's all rooted up, but it's full of carp. And in the winter,
Only carp.
that's a blast.
Yeah.
And there's nothing else going on. You know, you can just go carp fishing for 2 hours and catch.
And
They
the sup
fight
is
like
perfect
redfish.
for it,
Yep.
but
love
not
it.
not anymore. So we take the yaks over there
Yeah.
now and do that.
But
What other lakes you cannot use?
Uh,
sup on?
If
Just-
it's owned by Norfolk.
What do you mean?
Yeah,
Oh, the
so-
Norfolk. So it's the Norfolk
Yeah, so
ones, not the
Prince-
Suffolk ones.
yeah, no, well, but Norfolk owns Prince, Western Branch.
Yeah. They doesn't
Yeah.
own Cahoon and Mead.
Yeah, you can
Yeah.
go Cahoon and Mead.
Okay.
But the only I don't fish
Spates
those because
Run.
you gotta get
Spates Run is like a really good small spot.
Yeah. You can't go on Smith. So yeah, it's I don't know why I can't sup those, but
Yes, that, yeah. They're swimming.
Yeah.
I could see that being to that.
I mean you
Yeah.
could sit on the superficial on that cooler and paddle it like a kayak.
Well, it's, yeah.
Because that thing's so big, it looks like a kayak.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, we got checked today though. They were out in the lake
yeah,
today.
we got checked.
Came
We
in
were
the
way up
fishers.
in the back of a creek, and looking for a bowfin, and they came up and just just doing their job. These bass guys though, we were on this guy's spot, and we fished this secondary point. We didn't catch anything on it, but this bass guy came up behind us, and you could tell that we were on his spot. He was angry, so we turned the bend. He's fishing there, and you could hear him talking to the guys checking the lights and stuff. He's like, "You got to check those kayakers in the back there. They're doing something."
Yeah, he ratted on us, you know.
They're up to
they
something.
came back there, and it's only like 2 foot deep, and they're in there. You know, they're big John, but they got like a 70 horse on the back. So they come in, they check us, and we had all of our stuff, so they had no issue with us. And they could tell that just the bass guy had an issue with us, and it was pretty funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some regulars
Yeah.
in the
Yeah,
Suffolk
they
Lakes
were,
that
they were angry.
you
with
know.
us.
It's like the guys at the end of the pier. You know, if you fish Ambridge Pier or something, there's
You don't go to the end of the pier.
you're not one of them. But actually, there's a lot of good folks out there too.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of
Yeah,
really
we
good folks out
had a
there.
guy. I was fishing a brush pile, and this guy came up. He's like, "Don't go too deep into that because there's a huge wasp nest, and you can see it. Thing is like this big." And so if I never saw it until he pointed it out to me. I would have gone in there.
Yeah.
That's a
Like
long
a big
paddle
heel
back.
skip.
Yeah.
That's a long paddle back. when
Yeah,
you got,
'cause we were pretty far from the ramp too. So.
yeah, yeah, Western Branch. I mean, Prince. We were in Prince. Yeah, that's
Both
a long-
Western Branch and Prince is a long way from the ramp.
Yeah.
See,
we
that's it.
did about 5 miles a day.
Wasps
And-
while you're fishing. That's all freshwater stuff.
Man.
And snakes.
And
Yeah,
snake
snakes.
freshwater
And the
stuff.
biggest snapper turtle we've
Oh
seen.
my god, this thing was like, it's at least 50 pounds. It was like this long, you know, his tail's this way. It was so big. I'd never seen one that big before.
Lunch.
It was massive. I was thinking about putting the GoPro, you know, near it. I thought it would
Snap
like
it.
eat the camera.
You
Yeah.
might eat the camera.
Yeah.
Don't
Good
bite on
video, but
Yeah.
You
What
would have
else
cracked
did
the
Jay
cage.
wanna know?
oh, if you guys get aggravated with each other and how you deal with that, like
Because father and son.
because if Jay and I get aggravated with each other, like when we get back to the dock, we could just separate. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we can actually we
We
can.
never
Yeah.
get angry. He
You guys
gets
live
angry
together.
because we go freshwater fishing.
Yeah,
He doesn't
I'm
like
sick
it.
of freshwater fishing. So I'm like, really? We're gonna do that? He's like, I want to. You know, I'm going to do the bass division, so I got to scout some spots. I'm like, well, I don't got to scout some spots, but yeah, I try to be safe. So if you can get somebody else to go with them, fine. But all right, you know, hey, I don't mind doing it. I know the one thing I do that drives him nuts is because he's standing up, you know, so he can see. So he's like, hey, come on over here. There's red. So I'm like, zoom. I'll drive right over this fish.
Oh, yeah.
I go right over.
Yeah, we were
I have no idea where
like,
they
There's
are.
a school of reds right there. I had already caught one. I'm like, there's a school of reds right there. He's like, all right, here I come. And I'm like, stop. And he just went right over top, and they were just gone. And it was like,
Yep.
Yeah, I'll see the swirls.
That was the
Like,
only ones we saw.
Those
all
are the
day,
reds you
too.
were talking
Yeah.
about. I drive them nuts with that, but no, we don't.
We never get angry to the point where like we don't talk to each other.
No.
See, Jay and I don't really get that angry at each other. Even when that cobia came off the gaff and I broke that one off the week before, like we don't yell at each other. At this point, we're just like mad at the world.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's something is
Your
going
saga.
against something is going against us. Is that thing's pointing at the ground?
No, we're still in the.
Is
we're
it?
Still, yeah, we're still in.
We
It looks like
Yeah,
it's
most
tend
at
to
the table. Most at the table, but
I
we're still
think
in
we
the
actually get more mad at ourselves. So then the other one looks at him like, I'm not going to pile onto that.
Okay.
right.
Because it's
Okay,
like,
I
you're
get-
like,
I do.
I get
That's what me and
angry.
him do. Me and him do a little bit of why don't you calm the fuck down, and I'm gonna go over here.
Yeah.
I get angry sometimes. Like I'll have like 5 when I'm bassing. I'll have like 5 rigs out, and 3 of them have treble hooks, and one of them will get caught on the other, and then all my rods are like out, and I'll drift into a bush and stuff. I'll get angry. You know,
Right.
I just don't want to talk. I'm throwing rods and.
Shit, see, that's cool. I'm glad you do that. You're such a cool, level-headed kid. I never thought you would
I
get
never
angry.
get angry when I lose fish, but
No,
when I just all my stuff gets stuck together and just
You know why?
it's just a mess.
You know
and
why
you're
you get
fishing.
angry at that? Because it's
Yeah.
your mess and it's all fucked up.
Yeah, and
the
it's
fish,
your fault,
the fish,
yeah.
your mess. It's your mess and all, but the fish is like you knew what happened. Something went wrong,
Oh,
and you did something wrong. But
yeah.
this is
I've gotten angry too, where like I had a redfish. I hadn't caught any. I'd spooked a lot, and I had one, set perfect, and I was gonna throw my mirror lure in front of it. I'm standing up. I go back to cast, and my rod mirror lure hits my rod in the back. I lost it. I threw that rod in the water. I was just so angry.
I'll catch you,
bitch. I was so
I'm sort of
angry.
watching this like, you got to get that back.
Yeah, I'm in like
okay?
2 foot of water, so I'm not gonna get
Yeah.
it back. But I grabbed that rod out of the back. I'd done it like 4 times that day. And I just threw it in the water. I'm tired of it. I see the redfish go away, and it just happens sometimes.
There's
You just
truly
lose it.
nothing like, and I think just mainly kayakers that have that. There's truly nothing like reeling out the
Yes.
cast
Oh
and
my God.
and hearing it go, but you're already in the motion
Yeah, I
of going
did
like
that-
this.
I
and
did
you
it
hear
today.
and it's such a rapid,
Oh,
tight
man.
mess.
Oh,
Yeah,
it's
you couldn't do
horrible.
it if you tried. And braid, because we use braid almost
Yeah,
always.
we
So
use
now
it.
it's around the treble hook. It does a half hitch, comes around another side
Yeah,
of
and
it.
it's so ridiculous.
Or half of that braid gets on the.
Oh
like,
my
And
God.
then there's
Yeah,
no
in the
split ring.
And
Yeah.
there's nowhere to
Split
get
ring.
slack to it. Nowhere to get slack to it, so you can't.
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah,
there's
I've
no
had
like,
that.
how can I get some
Nuts.
like, get some-
scissors and
I have a
Yeah.
skitter walker with a braid tail right now because I cannot get it
Yeah.
out.
braid tail.
It has a small braid
It's-
tail.
that's the only thing that just drives me nuts. And I'm mad at myself, and I'll just sit there and like calm down. But that's just what drives me nuts when I mess up myself and I know what I did wrong, and I like try to prevent it again, but I do it anyway. It's just that's.
Well,
one of the things
this
that
has been the
nuts.
year of breaking gear.
Oh, we've broken
have
like 8
broken-
rods this year.
We have broken eyes
reels.
Why is that?
off. We
Usually that shit happens like your first year.
Yeah, no, we haven't. We've gone on a streak. We haven't lost any rods. We haven't done anything this year. We've
Just
like we broke a
Yeah, it's all
rod.
minor
is it
stuff.
different techniques?
No,
Is
it's just random. Like we broke a rod, so we bought a new one, and then the day we bought it, we broke it, and then we repair them all
Yeah.
because it's always like the last 2 inches of the tip, so you just
Yeah.
put a new tip on.
yeah,
And-
all of our rods are 2 inches shorter than
Yeah,
They're
market is
all
at this
of them.
point.
all super stout rods. at
Yeah,
this point.
everything, every rod I
Yeah,
have.
I broke
right
my
now
G
is broken.
Loomis the day of the, and I don't even know how.
Yeah, he broke like
My best rod, first cast of the day. I cast. I hear nothing. It felt a little funny.
It's dark out. so
And
it's
I
about
can't get my
dark.
skitter walker to walk. I'm like, what's going on? And here comes the last 2 foot of my rod.
It just
Come in
out of
with it.
nowhere. Snap.
I have no. I mean, it's pitch black. Maybe on the back cast I take something, but
But I've dunked. I turtled for the first time this year, in North Carolina. I got it all on video. It's ridiculous. I have a redfish hooked up, and I'm waving for him to come over. And my glasses were on top of my head like this. It was cloudy. I hit my glasses off, and they're in the water. So I'm like, oh, I can get those. I see him sinking slowly. So I've got this redfish on. It's a pretty nice redfish. I'm in the high seat. I sit down. And I bend over to get it, and that you could feel that kayak just roll. Got it all on video, and then it's it's dark, because it's murky water. I flip it back up. I'm still fighting this redfish. All my stuff is all over. I had my box open, so everything came out of that.
Oh.
All my plastic are gone. My seat's missing. All my rods are just gone, and I'm fighting this redfish. And the first thing I say to him is, "Dude, I spooked a lot of redfish." And he comes in, he's like, "What are you talking about? All your stuff's gone." I'm like, "Oh."
Get another iPhone bites the dust.
Yeah, I lost
you know.
the only 2 things I lost out of it were my phone and my sunglasses.
How
It
deep were you?
started the whole
This is
thing.
in like 3 foot of water,
Okay,
right?
so
So
you're
I'm standing
standing.
up. I'm
Yeah.
fighting this redfish. I get it in, and he's grabbing all my stuff. Most of my rods were like stuck together.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, all but one.
Yeah,
So
and
now,
then- so we're about to paddle off, and I'm like, oh, I'm missing a rod. It was my best one, like a Daiwa Tatula, and it was just a good casting setup, like a Shimano rod. And so we got out and we shuffled around the bottom for like half
get the
an hour.
stakeout pull shuffle going.
Yeah, we
clink,
eventually
clink,
found
clink,
it,
clink.
but it was it was the first time I turtled. I landed the redfish, and I only lost my phone and my sunglasses, but it just bad luck.
At least
happened
the
this year.
sunglasses are sponsors, right?
No.
Oh, damn! So you gotta buy them. Woo! So that's an expensive drop because of phone and glasses.
Yes, I've
Yeah,
dropped
that was
Mally
It's
Jim's
about-
over
it was
before,
like,
Yeah.
yeah,
and they
like losing a
replaced
rod.
them.
Yeah, we're yeah.
Yeah, that was expensive. And I just shipped that G Loomis off, so hopefully they're going to do me some.
Well, I've
do me some
so
love.
funny.
Yeah.
It's so funny, like the amount. Like I've been watching. I watch tennis on TV, so I've been watching the U.S. Open. The amount of people they show in the stands wearing Maui Jims watching tennis.
Oh, is it sponsored by Mount Jim or something?
No,
Oh.
That's quality.
no,
Yeah.
it's
Quality
just
stuff.
that
Oh, yeah.
people wear them,
Mm-hmm.
and I mean, it always shows the people in the lower stands too, and those are always like super
Yeah.
rich people.
Oh,
So rich people are wearing like
Mhm.
Maui Jim sunglasses
Oh, yeah.
because
What are prescription?
yeah, they do do the prescription
Yeah.
thing too. If I ever, I wonder how that would work if I ever get prescription
Yeah.
glasses.
I don't know.
They probably give us the frame,
Right.
and
right.
you'd have to take care of the lens. Whatever.
Yeah, because I know that's expensive. I'm not thinking
Anyway,
about that. Yeah.
how do you manage your time? Jay wants to know how you manage all of your time. How do you
Oh.
like social media and social network and do sports and fish and get good grades?
The school part, it's tough. Yeah, I mean, wintertime when school's really in gear, you know, soccer's in gear, cross country. I got a lot of like sports
too, yeah.
going on. Fishing's tough. So like next weekend, I got a cross country race and a soccer game. I might get out for some freshwater, like just a couple hours in the afternoon. But once this spring and summertime, I can fish a lot. Now I can drive, you know, just go to the lake for a couple hours, go saltwater. But once sports start up, I can mainly get 1 day in a weekend. With school, I try to get most of my work done during the week. If I have over weekend homework, I try to get it done. I actually do a lot of. I get like a school issued iPad, and I do a lot of my fish research on it when I have downtime in school. So like study hall and stuff. I'm looking up how to fish with jigs.
Yeah, his Algebra 2 grade would show what he was actually doing during study hall. That didn't work out that good for you.
But like springtime, it's tough because I only get. That's why I never hit the Eastern Shore as school, and so managing my time. I try to get as much fishing in as I can. I never really do much on the weekends besides fishing and whatever sport I'm doing.
What I've now that I'm dating again, it's been weird for me to like when somebody asks me what I do. Like, how is it for you socially in high school when you tell people you're a professional, you're a pro kayaker? I mean, yeah. I have to explain it.
Yeah,
and I basically explain it like pro skateboarders or pro surfers. There's kind of a lot more regular people kind of get where that's at. They give me stuff.
They mainly
to show
think I'm just kayak.
Right.
That's what they like. Yeah, they think I'm just a kayaker.
Right.
So like, oh, well, I kayak all the time. But it's not the same, you know. They're kayaking in their grandma's backyard for a mile, and it's not the same as going out all day. You know, you're covering several miles.
There's a definite rift between.
And then also
you try to explain it to them
sometimes, and then also the fishing side of things is difficult to explain too
because
they don't know.
They're croakers fishers.
They catch cat. I mean, we have a lot of catfish where we live. In the wintertime.
You're bottom fishing.
Catfish, bottom fish, and it's hard to explain what we do, as in how we fish. You know, all of our gear, the stuff. Yeah, the level of what we fish. So it's just it's weird to explain. That what I do on the weekends instead of like just go to the movies and stuff, that I fish, you know. So it's weird because they're like, how can you spend all day fishing? We just go out for a couple hours and it's like it's what I do. So that's just
it's a weird thing.
Explaining the winter too.
Yeah, and in wintertime they're like, why are you still fishing? And in wintertime, you know, bass fishing, we catch just a ton of catfish, you know, over where we are in the Pagan River and stuff. So
yeah, and that's when I do take a break in the wintertime just to like actually kind of like dump my brain of
I don't fish that much.
Constant knowledge of tides and winds and always obsessing over it. I've gotten to a point where I'm taking these 2 months and I don't know what the tide is. And just having that out of your head is a relief.
Yeah, I don't worry about that at all in the winter. I go fishing with Ken when Ken wants to go togging. I want to break the world record.
But it helps for me. It helps for me those times when I'm getting over it out there. That if I fish all year long, like especially striper, where we're just drifting on a striper, just the motion, I get over it. Like if I'm paddling, I'm fine because I'm propelling and moving. But if I'm just sitting there just drifting and just going with the waves, I'm like, if nothing's happening and it's been a couple weeks of that, I'm ready for I'm ready to quit fishing for a couple weeks.
Yeah, I've thought about that a couple times. But like, during the wintertime, especially when it's really cold and the bass just aren't eating, you know, the water temperature's like 38 degrees, and it's really tough to catch bass. Where we are, you can go launch out of like the Windsor Castle Parks over our way. It's got a kayak launch. You can launch out of there, paddle. You can paddle 5 minutes, set up on a little bend in the creek and catch catfish until you run out of bait. And the tides doesn't matter, you know, sometimes you ride it as long as it's moving. And they're not big, you know, they're like this big.
Yeah, but it's action.
He caught like a 15-pounder once. And out of nowhere you might get a big one. Yeah. But it's just action and it's constant. You just sit there, you got your rods pointed out this way, you just see one double over, and it's just fun fishing, you know. And that's just what takes it away from like what we did today and grinding out 5 bass.
It was hot today. So,
Yeah,
I mean,
it's
it was,
hot.
And that's
Windy.
another
We were
reason why I
paddling back into. First time I didn't complain about paddling back into a pretty stiff wind because it helped cool it off a
Yeah.
little bit.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it was brutal out there today.
It got windy too out of the south.
Yeah.
It was pretty windy
it got
out of the south
windy. I mean,
today.
we were hiding in. I had planned on fishing, you know, the channel bends and stuff, and it got so windy I couldn't do it. I just had to fish laydowns and stuff in grass way in the backs of creeks.
Hmm.
So,
That stuff's not super productive in the summer.
no, not some resident fish.
Yeah,
That's what I
not
did
super
today,
productive
but
in the summer.
Saw a
No,
couple pickerel.
yeah, looked for a bowfin because last time we were there, we'd seen some big ones, you know. And
Yuck.
they're just,
They
I love
stink.
catching those things.
They
but
stink so bad. I hate them. I kill everyone I
They're
catch.
I just like watching them, you know. They're almost like a redfish. You see them cruising, you throw some in front of them, and most of the time they'll eat it. But I think they're neat. So
This guy came in the shop and he was new, you know, Air Force Navy guy, or whatever. And he was talking about bass fishing, but he was talking about going freshwater fishing, but he mentioned about getting some dinner or whatever. And I was like, oh, he's gonna kill some fish. He ain't gonna be too, locals ain't gonna like that shit. And then as he started going and he was talking about, he said it again. I was like, I wouldn't keep too many bass at these lakes. These are local lakes. And he goes, we're really looking for bowfin. You're gonna be a hero.
yeah,
They love
a lot
you.
of people hate them. I think they're neat.
You're welcome back.
That and gar too. We've seen some really big gar this year.
Man, I've seen them in Lake Prince, dude. I've
Yeah,
seen them eating
Prince.
those beetles,
Oh
all the
my
little
God, they're
beetles off the
giant.
top, or whatever
I
they're
had
eating. Off
one that was just cruising right in front of me. His tail's out of the water. He's in like 20 foot of water, but he's on the surface just cruising. Had to be like 3.5 foot long. And
Yeah.
There's giant gar in there. And I thought about targeting them, but it's just
That's something
A
I
rope.
don't need in my
Yeah.
kayak.
yeah.
I
a
don't
rope. Use a piece of rope and fray the end. You
Yeah,
don't even
I
need
heard about
hooks.
that.
Yeah, you don't need hooks. Their teeth angle back.
Mm-hmm.
So
You
snags.
can do that with houndfish too.
It snags. And then they like twist. They just get themselves. You get them up there, man. And you just rattle the rope, shake the rope a little bit, and like Velcro it out.
Yeah.
Let them go.
yeah,
I mean that's what I've heard. Like the best
Yeah.
thing, or like a live perch on top.
Yeah,
they'll
they say
annihilate
like taking a
perch.
sunfish, and taking a little bit of wire leader and stuff, and basically when they eat it, you put your watch on for 20 minutes and wait for him to eat that thing, and then
Actually
after
trying to
20
hook it.
minutes,
Actually
you
trying to hook
set
it,
that hook. Yeah.
Otherwise, the hooks I've seen a lot of times, the bills are like bamboo.
Right.
Mm.
You'll hook it and it'll just split.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, it'll just split, man.
Yeah, so
It's
you gotta- you want
so
them to
you
eat
do
that
like a
meat.
lot of damage to them.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's why that.
Yeah, and they were trying
rope-
to clear them out a few years. Well, they were trying to get the population down a couple of years ago, and they wanted people to catch them and
Snag rig.
get rid of them.
Yeah, because I mean they're just swimming right on the surface.
Yeah, you could. I mean,
You
you
could
can
snag
snag rig the heck out of them.
I've seen
Bowfish the heck out of them.
Yeah,
I've
they
seen
bow
bowfish.
bow
They
fishing,
people
yeah.
bowfish them a lot now.
I saw one.
Do
at
they?
the
Are
ramp.
they allowed to do that in the Suffolk Lakes?
I have
I have
no idea.
I saw a big one at the ramp at Kippebeak.
Oh.
Gar.
Freshwater
What?
gar?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw one at
They can breathe
saw-
air like
Yeah.
like a
They
tarpon.
gulp.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they
so
I saw
go.
a
They
big
can
one at
gulp.
Gloucester Beach once. I was there for a camp one year, and it was just cruising. It was beat up,
Yeah.
But
This one was
yeah,
looking
Gloucester Beach.
good. I mean, I was like, that's a gar. I mean,
Yeah.
there was no doubt.
They're
right
all
there.
like weird. They got those spots on them. They're just
Yeah.
funny.
And I've seen them when I come up to Currituck on tour
Yeah.
before.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a lot of them up.
There's
way
a
up
lot
in
in like the Chickahominy.
Mm-hmm.
You can see them like when the tide's cruising out and that eddy on the curves of the like the bends in the creeks. You'll see them chilling. They'll come up for air and just go back down. So they're pretty neat.
All right, we're gonna wrap it up. We're over time, so I'm gonna have to like shrink this video a little bit. Yeah, hell yeah! Thanks for guys coming in. This is
Thank
awesome.
you.
Yeah, this was fun.
Yeah, I thought you guys would be good.
All right, the website again.
Website is Fishtails by Drew at. Well, I keep wanting to see the at fishtailsbydrew.blogspot.com.
Yeah.
That's your
Yep.
website. He's on Facebook also.
Yep.
And thanks to our sponsors, Yak Attack, and it's yakattack.us. Thank you guys. We'll see you next week. I think we're going to have Wayne Bradby in talking about the.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
Cool.
Yep. All right, guys. Later.
That thing is staring right at the friggin'.
Yeah.